The B is for bollocks.
Hello and welcome to episode 215 of the Blackdog podcast.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Elton.
I'll let him do this from now on.
Yeah,
So
he's the only one to give us any kind of cheerful, upbeat opener.
It's been regenerated from the Peter Capaldi Doctor style sort of comment to I don't know the David Tennant style Doctor comment.
Anyway, Alonso. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to call this one "I've Got the Ump." Right. So this is the Blackdog number 215. I'm Lee.
I'm Darren.
I'm Jim.
Oh, son of a bitch. Go on.
And I'm Elton.
Hey, and I'm drunk. There you go.
Jim is, of course, transmitting all the way from Australia at the moment, which is why there's a delay.
Yeah, live.
Good save.
Nothing to do like a mouthful of chili at the wrong moment at all.
Live from Mars, it's Jim Moon. Anyway, I can hear both ears now. Yes, so this week we're going to have a bit of news. Well, only one piece of news, to be honest, which is going to be very quick, I imagine.
There is one rumour that I've just read.
Oh.
Even though if we're not doing rumours, then we won't say it.
Okay, then maybe two pieces of news, possibly three. And then we've got a bit of chat, shitty superhero from Mr. Chris Johnson.
Ooh.
And then we move on to this week's 4 weeks of horror, which is now going to be explained as 8 weeks. But we'll talk about that later, which is my choice, which is rather confusing a few people, and it is a kill list. Ben Wheatleys Kill List. Okay.
I've already seen the opening line of somebody's feedback, and it's like, yeah, I think you confuse a lot of people.
I think I did. Anyway, before we get on with that, let's see how everyone's week has been. We're recording on Thursday instead of Tuesday.
Yes.
So obviously lots of things have happened, haven't they?
Lots of things have happened.
Elton.
Okay, right. I'm catching up with The Walking Dead again.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to give any spoilers.
Good.
But I'm a little disappointed that I've read the books. Let's put it like that.
Is this the character with the stick?
No, it's just the story that they're going through. I think I would have preferred to go into it blind, but I know this story, so
Okay.
I'm still enjoying it. But it's kind of just watching it again. Really, I feel like I've already seen it.
Yeah. It's the Watchmen phase of I know where this is going. I know what this is doing. It's
exactly.
Not impressing me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And apart from that, I've been walking around with a bad back, and it looks like I've been chewing a toffee in my bottom. But apart from that, I'm all fine.
Back the fucking truck right up.
You talented boy.
You're chewing a toffee in your bottom.
You've taken up mincing.
You know when you have a really bad back, and you kind of stick your bottom out.
You know when you stick a toffee up your ass.
And you kind of waddle down corridors, and so, it looks like I'm chewing a toffee.
Chewing a toffee with your arse.
You know when you stick a toffee right up your ass.
So you're basically, you've got the...
Your father had this toffee up his ass for 15 years.
Oh! Let me tell you, little boy.
Yeah.
This toffee has been up my ass for the past 13 years.
I had dysentery.
I'm giving it to you now.
So you got you're sort of doing your Kim Kardashian tribute act.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
Put my shelf out there.
You'll be on the front of one of those fucking shitty celebrity magazines soon, you watch. The Elton Diet.
I'll be getting papped.
You certainly will, yeah.
Pap smear. Walking around like that. So
happening.
So are you finding it hard to get into lift shafts?
Pretty much finding it hard to do anything at the moment.
But he's looking sexy as he does it.
Yeah.
I look mighty fine doing nothing, really. But
my lumps, my lovely Elton lumps.
The Elton twerk.
Okay. 10 kudos points to anyone out there in the audience who can stick Elton's face onto a picture of Miley Cyrus.
In fact, if you can actually do the jibber jabber thing and put his face on the video and have it sync with the movements of the body as well.
It came in like a wrecking ball.
Oh no, not that one. No, I've just been the appearance on stage with that fucking Robin Twat Knockers, whatever his name is.
Yeah, Beetlejuice.
Robin Dick.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, right, okay. Oh, so apart from that, how's it going? I'm glad we're giving you sympathy, by the way, for your terrible medical condition.
Yeah. No, it's all right. I'm coming down with the flu from the kids.
Nice.
So, yeah, I feel like death warmed up at the moment, but
lovely. Oh well, there you go.
All jolly good over here.
All jolly good over there. Okay, well, and how about you, Jim? How's your week been?
It's been pretty busy. Largely because kind of next week, after some very, very busy months, I'm actually just going to take some time off and sit quietly in my house and do nothing. Well, that means me doing a certain amount of things this week in double quick time. So I've been working hard to get that done. And as always, my projects just proliferate beyond my control.
Yes.
As having split Hypnobobs into 3 podcasts, it then further bifurcated this week into a 4th by accident.
Jesus Christ, it's like cell separation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 1,
it is,
2,
it is.
4, 8.
Yeah. And then eventually it becomes sentient and goes moving on throughout iTunes.
All podcasts will be mine.
Yes. I've got no strings on me.
Yes, it was born out. Originally, it was as regular listeners probably know. I guest on many podcasts, and one of the ones I've been guesting on a regular-ish basis was Highway to Mars, which I joined as head honcho Stefan and Odile to discuss an SF book, which were all very good. But recently, sort of Highway to Mars has hit a hiatus, and Odile had read a book over the summer which she really wanted to discuss, and she sort of said, "Oh, you read this? You got to read this, and we'll do a podcast on it." But we know Highway to Mars on the horizon. She said, "Well, do you fancy starting a sister podcast to your family where we talk about books and do the same?" And so she said, "I'll edit." I said, "Sounds good to me."
Yeah, the editing bit.
So Tomagoria was born. I just literally in the last hour received the mix down of the first episode.
Nice.
And so that'll be hitting the the Hypnobob's feed probably sometime tomorrow.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and that's going to be probably once a month where we'll get together and talk in length about a book or a short story.
Excellent.
And I don't have to edit it. Hurrah!
always a bonus.
Which is a massive, massive bonus, I think.
Cool. And what books? What book are you reviewing, or shall we wait and see?
The first book we're reviewing, because the nature of the podcast is you have to be quite like this podcast. We have to be very spoilery, obviously. We're doing M.L. Carey's The Girl with All the Gifts, which came out in June this year.
Right.
And M.L. Carey is actually a thinly veiled pseudonym for Mike Carey, noted comic book author, and he's also a novelist in his own right as well. And I won't spoil the podcast, but it is a cracking read. It's a very, very clever, very well thought through novel. It's not overly long, very punchy, but I read it in less than 2 days because it's one of those kind of, I should go to bed, but I can't leave the story just here. The next chapter's only short. 2 hours later, I'm really going to go to bed. But
nice.
Yeah. And then I think the next book we're doing is going to be Den Patrick's The Boy with the Porcelain Braid.
I've got that. I've actually got a signed copy.
Oh, yes, he did a signing fairly recently, wasn't it?
It was when he was at Jen Williams.
That's right.
Jen
Williams
doing signing. So I got a copy of that as well. Sounds like a very interesting book.
Oh well, there you go.
Well, I've had it recommended by numerous people, and I picked up a copy on my Kindle. It's kind of I'm looking forward to this new podcast. It means I will actually have to get round to reading these books I keep acquiring.
Yeah, I noticed. I can't remember who it was. Someone from your group who's turned up on the Blackdog group and then said, "Oh no, that means there's going to be more influx of money to Kindle and Amazon and." you need to have like a sponsored link.
I think you should, yeah.
A little sponsored link to each book. I think you do quite well out of it. Well, at least Amazon would anyway.
Well, someone would.
Cool. So that's that, yeah. Or what else has been going on in Gymland? Anything else?
Well, I've been getting together my Halloween special.
Nice
for the Hypnagoria cast. If I can, I've got a story I'd like to read for Halloween as well. I'm going to do that. And thinking ahead, I've been already plotting the Christmas specials this year.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, so it's been all podcast systems go. I just used to do podcast or we'd be researching a podcast.
All hands to the pumps.
Doing bits of work in between. We get in the way.
Nice.
Jim got
yeah, so that's all good and exciting.
Lovely. Well, Mr. Barnard, how's your week been?
Well, first of all, I have to clear up something. I know we said that I was going to a Tiddlywinks tournament in Hampton Fancher this week.
Yes.
I'm afraid I have to reveal that was a bit of a lie.
No.
Yes, it was. It was a bit of a lie. Because I can now reveal that what I was doing on Wednesday was actually filming some extra bits for a movie I mentioned before called Convention of the Dead, which is being produced by our very own Andy Palestides.
Yes,
indeed.
Yes.
So I got to wear 2 extra iconic outfits.
Yes.
It was just like, you know what? If he had turned around to me and said the filming's cancelled, but you can wear these all day, that would have been worth the price of admission alone.
You're a shameless whore.
I am a shameless whore. First one, I got to wear a complete screen accurate, right down to the molecular level, screen accurate Dredd 2012 uniform.
Yeah.
Complete with helmet, lawgiver, and everything. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that is a photo magnet. You put that on, and I'm not joking, I walked into the room with that, and everyone was like, "Can I get my photograph taken with you, please?" Oh, go on then.
You tart.
Yeah, exactly. So lots of dread face, lots of guns being pointed at heads, people being arrested, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And the second outfit was, again, God damn it, right down to molecular level, screen accurate, Ghostbuster costume. Now, it wasn't
Did you get to wear his proton pack?
I was the only, and these are his words, "You are the only person I'm trusting here to wear this."
Yeah.
I got it. I put it on. I even had the image intensifier goggles on my head, perched right there, just like Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Got that on, and I'll tell you what, when he switched it on at the back, and you hear it go, and all the lights come on, and then it's like, go on, try to throw her. So I pulled out the stick from the back.
Yeah.
And he's saying, right, flip that switch there. And it's making noises as I'm flipping, activating this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Everything is coming on. You can hear it whirring up and everything. Yeah. He's like, right, now press that button there. And it's like the audio for the fucking beam coming out of it and everything. I'll tell you what, though, it weighs as much as a small camper van. So, I mean, I can now lift a whole bus on my back.
Yeah.
Because walking around with that, it's certainly a workout.
Or a small child on a bed sheet.
A small child on a bed sheet. Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
But no, totally worth it. Totally worth it. I just really enjoyed myself.
Nice.
Laura was there with me as well. We got zombied up as well.
Yep.
We did the.
I saw her as Zombie Pam from Archers.
Yeah, she even had blood on the dolphin as well. So it was in the mouth and everything. It was great. So it's. I mean, as always, it's really interesting just seeing the whole process of making a film come together, and it's viewing some of the stuff that was shot as well. It's kind of like, man, that's actually really good. Look at that. Look, it's some of the shots were.
Cool.
It's nice to see something that I'm involved in actually looks kind of. Wow, look at this. Look, that's me in that shot there, and I've not fucked it up. Look, brilliant.
Let the director and the editor be the
exactly. All my stuff on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. See that bloke see that cunt dressed as a zombie Spock. Fucking everything on the floor on now.
I want rid of him.
Yeah,
get him out.
And if we need to extend the film because his bits are too long, just put it in slow mo. Just extend those bits.
He's not talking.
No, he isn't.
Excellent.
So I'm pretty sure that's coming out. It's either the end of this year or early next year.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll find out more details when we meet Andy on. Well, I'm meeting Andy next week.
Indeed, you are. You are meeting him in Paris.
Meeting him in Paris. Him and O'Deal, actually.
Yeah, a long way to go down the pub, that, isn't it?
It is. It is. But little mini meet in Paris.
Indeed.
That'd be quite cool.
Little mini meet.
You're meeting Mini-Me in Paris?
Yeah.
Le Noir Shen.
Yeah, Le Noir Shin.
Can somebody put a freaking bell on him?
Do you know what? The amount of French I know, all I know is duck jam.
Duck jam.
That's all I know. Duck jam.
You see, you don't know French until or any language. You see, what you should learn in every language is my auntie's pen is in the garden.
What?
That's it. That's a standard phrase you should know in every language.
Why?
It'll get you in everywhere, that will.
No, there's a frog in my B-day.
Yeah. I have sauerkraut in my lederhosen.
Your luggage appears to be eating my wife.
I will not buy this record. It is scratched.
Yeah.
My nipples are exploding with desire.
Take down your panties, Sir William. I cannot wait any longer. Oh dear. Anything else?
I did watch one other film this week.
Okay.
And that was This Is the End, which is a film I've been waiting to watch for a while.
What's that one?
That is basically Hollywood stars playing themselves in a film about the end of the world.
Yes.
So you have the likes of it's Seth Rogen, James Franco, and there's a few other people. I forget their names, but I know their faces. Rihanna's in it. Mindy as well from the Mindy Project. She's in there. It's a comedy show that's on television. Michael Cera, who I know. There are people who've got a problem with him, but in this, yes, in this you'll love him. He's such a cunt. He really is. He's brilliant.
As opposed to what?
No, but I mean this is like turned up to 11.
Oh, right.
And it's just the stuff that he gets up to in this.
Okay.
And, you do see various.
It's on Netflix, so I will look at it.
Have a watch of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite funny seeing sort of like how many famous personalities get offed within like about 5 minutes of the end of the world.
Okay.
And the way they go.
I've seen Emma Watson fighting a velociraptor or something.
No, it's just there's
she busts into the house with an axe. Yeah.
And well, it's just they get themselves in trouble where she's concerned and serves themselves right, really.
Okay.
It's a misunderstanding, but it's funny.
Okay.
So, I'd say, if you've got, don't sort of like break your neck to go and see the film, but it's not as bad as you might think it is.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah.
Cool. My week's been pretty uneventful, so that's good. I've finished my Disney job, which is good.
Ding dong, the job is dead. The job is dead.
I've still got bits and pieces to do with this Predator job, which was quite funny because it leads on to another story that I did. I went and did reading around the local primary school.
Did you read the bit I suggested?
No.
He looked at his sleeve. Blood.
Blood.
His blood. copper blood. Blood.
Bits of sick. Yeah. Or the one that Jess suggested, which was a sex scene from the Terminator book. Terminator novelisation.
So in the Q&A afterwards, did you go, I'm one of the few people who've actually written more books than I've read?
No, I didn't. No, I was going into primary school to talk to a bunch of 10-year-olds and read them a book, and that was just part of it. And
so what was that book?
Well, actually, I read them.
The Road?
No, from start to finish. Yeah, the Call of Cthulhu. Sean Hudson's Assassins, and no.
So you did read some Garth Marenghi then?
I did, yeah. No, so yeah, Sean Hudson's Slugs, Guy Ian Smith's Crabs. No,
James Herbert's The Rats.
That's it. No, actually, I read them The Twits by Roald Dahl, which is very good because it's 80 pages, and so you've only got an hour, and I got through the lot, including voices.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because Mr. Twit speaks all like this. Mrs. Twit, she's all like this. And then you've got the roly-poly bird. Hello, I'm the roly-poly bird. And anyway, seemed to go down quite well with the kids. But the funny bit is, and this is where it relates to the Predator thing, about halfway through, because they're filming still in Hampshire, the Predator thing, and I couldn't go to that because I had the Disney job. And every now and again I get phone calls because I'm supposed to be sort of visual effects supervising on this thing, but I'm supposed to be on set. But instead what they're doing is they're sort of doing Skype calls. And they had a problem where basically they wanted to know how best to blow up someone's head.
Well, with explosives?
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, exactly. It's there's a shot where a guy, a knight, basically goes hand to hand with his predator, and it knocks him to the ground. And then when he tries to stab at it, it finally has enough, and it just sort of walks away and basically nukes his head with a shoulder cannon.
Nice.
And you get a sort of over the shoulder, watch this guy's head basically detonate. And so there I was, sort of talking about roly-poly birds and upside-down muggle monkeys and, all this kind of thing.
It's in the fucking night garden.
No, that's in the Twits. Have you never read the Twits?
I've never read the Twits.
It's a great book.
I've read a few sort of like Roald Dahl books, but not the Twits.
Yeah, well, it's a very good book. It's 80 pages. You should go through it. It's really good fun.
That'll take me a few days.
It took me an hour. Anyway.
I read slow.
You do. Anyway, and then all of a sudden I got this phone call and I had to take it because I'm like on their sort of, payroll sort of thing. So I went, okay, folks, sorry kids, hold on. I just started answering this thing. I'm going, right, well, if you want bits of brain to fly left and right, and there's the teacher looking at me and I'm going, sorry. Anyway, so what we want is we want viscera everywhere. And the laser beam's got to go through what? His eye socket? There's all these kids and they were like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? And it's like, I can't really tell you. There's like the teacher going, oh my God, we're never having him come round this place ever again. He's talking about murdering a person with a laser through the eyeballs.
I'm just the chef.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just the cook. I'm just the ship's cook. But anyway, apart from that, which was about the only thing, I've been basically doing the Trevor Slattery school of taking it easy.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've been Googling myself and having a wank. And I watched Automata, the robot film with Antonio Banderas. And it's not as good as you'd think it'd be.
Oh.
It looks really good, and it's got some really nice ideas, but it's very dull. It's very dull, and the problem is that it doesn't quite go where you think it's going to go with the robots themselves. And really, by the time you work out what they're all about and what's going on with them, it's just
you're way past caring.
I couldn't give a shit. And all the bad guys, are pretty piss poor. Like there's the who played Darling from Blackadder.
Oh, him?
Yeah,
he's a bad guy.
Oh, Tim McInnery.
Tim McInnery, that's it. And he plays like a lead bounty hunter who's going after Antonio Banderas, and it's like I can't take him seriously at all. So when he's stomping around with a shotgun, blowing bits off of robots and kneecapping them and what have you, it's like, And yeah, the whole film is just like that. You're just sort of watching it going, it's pretty and everything, and it's lovely to look at, and the robots are really nicely done.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's just a bit... It's not Blade Runner, and you can see it's really trying to be. It really wants to be Blade Runner. It wants it so badly. It's got an erection that's like 4 foot long that says Blade Runner along the side, but it's just like, no, it's not Blade Runner at all. And Dermot, what's his face, who was in Hardwire? Dermot...
I know the guy you mean.
Yeah, he turns up as a bad guy. He gets offed as a bad guy pretty quickly, and you don't really care either way. So the whole thing's just kind of a bit meh. It's not a terrible film, it's just tedious. It just goes on a bit.
Yeah.
And you just go, I don't care after. After I've looked at all of the pretty visuals and the nice ideas of, insurance brokers being, insurance men, claimsmen being like bounty hunters and shit like that. It's just after that it goes a bit wanky. So
Better than iRobot, though.
Actually, I don't know that it is.
Oh.
You know how iRobot has this kind of like nice idea, nicely done robots, and then all of a sudden it just all goes a bit off the rails to have a big set piece. Well, Automata does the same thing, but he tries to be Blade Runner and doesn't have enough money for a set piece. So you go, oh, all right then.
Because I was hoping that would be the robot equivalent of District 9.
Actually, that's a very good analogy. It's trying to be that as well, but again, there's just so many bits and pieces where the story just kind of doesn't really engage you. I mean, I can tell you the basics without giving it away, which is just stuff in the trailer, which is that Antonio Banderas is like an insurance salesman or an insurance broker who goes around and checks robots. So if robots have issues, he goes around and says whether or not the issue that they have is a claim. You can have a claim against the company because the robots have got like the 3 laws of robotics and they can't stop. And if they contravene Rule 2, which is they can't amend themselves and they cannot adjust themselves or change themselves, then they're invalid. They have to turn themselves off or whatever. Or people go out and basically shoot them. The police go out and basically have them done. And then what happens is, while looking for a hacker who is a human who's doing like allowing these robots to basically change themselves, called a clocksmith, they stumble across this female sex pleasure robot thing, and then it turns into a chase. It turns into the company that made the robots has a secret, and he's about to stumble across it, and then all of a sudden lots of policemen who are in the company's pay decide to go and try and off Antonio Banderas or the robots before the secret can come out. In the meantime, his wife is about to have a baby and they want to move to the sea, but unfortunately the world is completely fucked.
Oh.
And that's about as much as I can tell you, but that really is what I've just told you there is probably the first hour and a half of a 2-hour movie, and the rest of it is just like
I don't think I'll be worried about that then. That's another one off my list that I don't have to go to the cinema to watch.
No. It's interesting. It's worth a look if you just got a spare afternoon and you're just seeing it on like Netflix or something when it comes out, but really don't go looking for it. It's such a disappointment. But yeah, if you saw District 9 and you thought, that's great, and then thought, robots, that'll be even better, then you're very much mistaken.
Right, okay.
It's like the first 10 minutes of District 9 over 2 hours.
Oh dear.
While we're on the subject of cinema, is anyone going to go and see Interstellar?
Yes.
Oh, I will be, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because I keep seeing new trailers for that. And so I'm...
Oh, don't. You're bound to ruin it for yourself, mate.
Yeah, I've given up.
I have so gone away from... I saw that first IMAX trailer and I was like, thank you very much, that's all I need to see.
Oh, no, these are the ones on the TV. I'm not going looking for them.
Oh, right, okay.
No, I'm not even watching any of those on the television.
No, I haven't seen those, no. But yeah, I mean, that's on the November the 7th, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not this Friday, that's next Friday. Ooh, special episode. Special episode. let's all go to the cinema. I've got Skype on my phone now.
Well, I won't be able to. I'll be in the lakes.
Well, I can put Skype on the phone and you can watch it in the lakes.
Oh yeah, because I'm going to interrupt my holiday just to do this. Of course. Yes.
Fucking dedication to the cause, mate.
Heathen.
Jesus. It's not like you haven't got anything better.
I'm only having open heart surgery that week. Oh, well, they can give you a local anaesthetic. You can do it from the fucking operating table, can't you, Darren? Oh, yeah.
I don't know what your problem is. Fucking hell. Jeez. Some people just don't have any sense of priority nowadays. Fucking people today.
Shocking.
Fucking hell. Well, I'll even supply you with some push blocks if that'll help.
I'm disappointed.
You're a pusher.
It won't help.
You sure? I've even got some multicoloured ones down there.
Oh, there you go then.
Oh, there you go. I can see the temptation in your eyes. Or maybe that's the rheumatism.
Quick, someone get up the picture of Welling High Street.
Yeah, and start your Photoshop engines. Anyway, right, shall we move on and do a bit of news?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Here is the news. We got some news. Fucking big news. Here comes the news.
Right, the news. Okay, well, of course, you know what? Normally we come out like too late or too early, or usually just miss every piece of news or any piece of news at all. And yet, somehow, miraculously, thanks to actually being late deliberately, we've landed on the same day as the Avengers 2 trailer. So, I'm assuming that everyone's seen it, but there's possibility that I'm about to hear from Elton. No.
I've seen it.
Hey!
Excellent stuff.
Huzzah! So, this is the only trailer of Avengers 2 that I'm going to watch. So that's the end of it. I promise. I'm no teasers, no nothing, none of these fucking 45-minute preview screening things, bollocks, unless I get invited to a preview screening. Marvel, Disney, hello. But anyway, so everyone's seen it. What do you think of it? Whoever wants to jump in, jump in.
Well, I'll go for it.
Go for it.
I like the trailer. It does its job. That's it. Gets the fuck out of town.
Right.
Now, I've got a bit of a problem with a lot of things that people were saying about this trailer, saying, oh, I'm not that impressed. It's not giving me anything new. No, that's the fucking point, right? People, you can't please people these days. People complain when you get a 5-minute fucking trailer. Oh, you're showing us too much. That's spoiling the film. What do you want?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's got nothing new I've not already seen because I've been had my fucking arse glued to every fucking spoiler and set leak photo.
Exactly.
Bollocks. And it's kind of, just fuck off.
Just don't read stuff then. Just, do something else. Gardening or something. I don't know. Look, how about getting your fucking work done rather than getting your fucking nose in a website? Do that,
Welcome to the Grumpy Old Bastard podcast.
Well, fuck it. It's basically anything that's been leaked, right, that we've heard about. It said, right, okay, here's the visual representation of that stuff you heard about last week.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is great. This is visual confirmation of everything that we've kind of thought might happen. Brilliant. And then it says, that's it, Age of Ultron. Here's Ultron. La la, jazz hands.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching things like the Hulkbuster turn up and I'm splooge.
Yep.
It's fucking hellfire. Look at the size of that. That makes the one you saw in Iron Man 3 look like some bloke wrapped in tin foil.
Yep.
It's the size of a fucking office block, the Hulkbuster. That's it. And without a word of a fucking shadow of a doubt.
Makes the one in Iron Man 3 look like a Nintendo Power Glove.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I really like the trailer. It's done its job. They haven't gone overkill on it. It's given me enough to go, my tickets are booked.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, I agree. So, What about you, Jim? I take it you're on the same boat as Mr. Barnard there.
Very much so. I mean, I've sort of I just picked up things about Avengers 2 by osmosis because you just can't help but. You know what I mean? But I've not really gone looking for it. And this was just kind of, that looks good. Yes, it's in safe hands. This is going to be fun.
Yep.
It hasn't told me too much. Just whipped my appetite nicely for it. And, because, it actually made me, I'm looking forward to that, which is the right reaction you should be having. Not kind of, I saw this last week on an ancient cool news, jazz hands splooge bleak of a sketch on a napkin of that armour. Fuck you ass.
Yo, dude, Straven here.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I think people, it's kind of, it's only a bloody trailer.
Yeah.
Some people, it's a good trailer, but, anything, the way some people have been sort of like dissecting it is just kind of like, calm down, it's not the actual movie,
Yeah.
Although, given that there are some very interesting little things in it that, to flash up on screen.
Yeah.
Things like, the back of the C-10 or the back of the Avengers jet.
Yeah.
They're in there, and there's Banner on the floor in a straitjacket.
Yep.
And it's like, is this...
And no Tony Stark.
Exactly.
But there you go. This is the danger now, isn't it? That you're going to start overanalyzing it. But,
well, no, it's just interesting. It's like, well, what's that about?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
But before we go any further, you see, I hear a complete absence of Elton intruding on this conversation. I suspect there may be a differing opinion over here. Hello, Elton.
Right.
Is he the man on Blank Fire Press?
Yes.
The man unimpressed with the trailer. Have dogs been barking at you, Elton?
Blank Fire Bulletin. I love it.
Little children have just been throwing congas at me. I don't get it. I am that guy. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with Avengers.
Oh well, that's fair enough. It's if you weren't impressed with that,
it's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
But if you prefer G.I. Joe to the Avengers, you're wrong. But everything else is fine.
Shall I just hang up now?
Well, don't worry, I'll do it for you.
collect your cards on the way out.
Yeah, there's a new position for a fourth chair on the Blackdog.
Have we got to like punch through his bowler hat and tear the collar off of his shirt and then break his umbrella or something?
That's it.
We got to go Mary Poppins on his ass.
Yeah, we've got to snap it over his knee. Yeah. Yeah,
it looks good.
Don't backtrack now, you wuss.
No, it does look good. That Hulkbuster thing, the red thing, and Black Widow jumping out the aeroplane. It all looks good, but it just doesn't do anything for me.
That's fine.
I'm really, really sorry.
No, it's fine. Honestly, no. Look. Don't worry about it. Seriously, we don't give a shit really about other people's opinions.
Yeah, no.
But no. I mean, to be quite honest. As trailers go, firstly, if you're not into superhero movies, that's understandable from the kickoff. I could have shown any trailer to my dad like this, and he'd just look at it and go, "Oh, fuck off," or "That's bollocks." That is,
yep.
And that'll be the end of it. So I do understand. I'm not going to be all like militant. No, you must love the Avengers. You're on this podcast. No. So no, that's bollocks. No, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You're wrong. But if there you go.
No, that's fine. May I ask what are them silver robots?
Okay, you see that big one at the end?
Yeah.
Went, there's no strings on.
Is that Ultron?
That's Ultron. But
okay.
Ultron is like an Iron Man suit in this version. It's not the proper version. We won't go into all of that. But in this version, Ultron is basically an Iron Man suit with a kind of AI in it that basically keeps evolving. And it's kind of, as it evolves, it has older versions of itself, and it has multiple versions of itself, and then it has drones of itself.
I'll tell you what, Elton. I'll point you in the direction of something you
won't
can watch.
Read it.
No, something you can watch. Right?
Yeah.
There's a TV series called Avengers Assemble, and I think it's either the end. It's the season finale, or it's getting very near the season finale. There's a 2-part episode that deals with Ultron, and you can watch that. It's only like about 40 minutes in total, and that will sort you out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the short version. The short version is basically every time you beat an Ultron robot, the next version comes out shortly after, which has improved itself to take on the thing that beat it last time.
Like the Incredibles.
Exactly like the Incredibles. That's where it kind of lifted it from. The Incredibles is kind of, contractually contractually different to avoid copyright version of a lot of things in the Marvel's universe.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, Fantastic Four.
I can hear thousands of people just rolling their eyes at me at the moment.
No, because there's going to be thousands of people typing into me saying, "No, you've got it completely wrong about Ultron." See, I one thing I didn't say about my week was I actually subscribed to the message boards on IO9, and I really wish I hadn't.
Oh,
but anyway,
dear. Why, Spock? Would you do this to yourself?
I'm bored. But anyway, so the long and the short of it is, exactly like that thing in the Incredibles. You beat it, it improves itself. Next version comes out better, stronger. I mean, the Borg do it in Star Trek, which you don't like. There's lots of things that but I'm just saying, just takes that sort of idea. That every iteration is stronger and more powerful than the next one. So eventually, what happens is it gets to a point where everyone has to be all in and attack it in a certain clever way. Otherwise, you're never going to beat it, and you have to take it down really quickly. The longer you leave it, the more powerful it becomes.
In fact, have you seen X-Men: Days of Future Past?
That's the second one of the new breed, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you watched that yet? Okay, if you do get to watching that. The Sentinels in that, the makeup for those, is very much on par with what Ultron's army and Ultron himself is all about.
Is that in the same universe?
Adapting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But not
in the film.
Seriously, Elton, save yourself a lot of headache, because unravelling that shit to make it all tie up together is a fool's errand. There are people who spend a lot longer in comic shops twizzling over that kind of stuff than any of us. Right. We'd never get to the bottom of it. But yeah, back to the trailer. I mean, I just looked at it and I thought it does the job. It tells you it's coming. It doesn't over flaunt itself. It doesn't bring out the big guns to really show you a massive set piece. And the reason it's doing that is because if you're on board, you're on board. And if you were on board before the bloody trailer came out, and if you're not on board, then nothing they're going to say is going to convince you.
Well, they already know millions of people are on board anyway, so why give away their money shots?
Exactly. It's well done. I mean, it's a well done idea. It's like, why advertise something when pretty much everyone knows it's coming? So it's a sort of almost a cursory trailer. It's like, there you go. We've had to announce it. Though I did like the. Did you read about this? Because the trailer leaked a week early.
Oh, it did? Okay.
It leaked a week early. So Marvel, instead of going, "Oh no, shut down the leak and find the pirates and do them in," they just went and released the HD version.
Yep.
And then what they did on their Twitter feed, they went, "God damn it, Hydra." And they basically just played it up as a big gag and just laughed it off. They rolled with it.
Golf clap.
Exactly. They rolled with the punch and took it. And then they released a poster and everything. They just went, "Okay, we'll move everything forward. Fine. There you go."
Yeah.
And and that's that's how you do clever marketing. That's how you do stuff and appeal to people. Fantastic Four, no stills. No one's seen it. Anyway, the other piece of news, changing it, was just something because I wanted. This is going back to the IO9 thing. Was anyone had a look at the Judge Dredd webcomic? web series artwork?
Just seen the artwork that was put up, and
looks like shit. Has anyone got anything else to say about that?
I don't think Brian Bolland's got anything to worry about.
You've not seen it, Jim?
No.
Good lordy.
Go on, send me a link.
I shall send you a link. Hold on. The
live reaction.
The fucking thing looks like absolute. Well, it boggles the mind. Seriously, you will look at this. They couldn't even be bothered to draw block letters in the actual badges of the characters' names. It looks like it's handwritten.
Oh dear.
It does. Hold on. I'm going to find it. Dredd. This is...
Because I went into Forbidden Planet in Cambridge this week, and I was going through all the comics that are on there, and I came across Transformers versus G.I. Joe. But this was like a new one.
Mm.
Yeah.
It looks really, really, really bad, as if my daughter had drawn it.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Seriously. Yeah. Well, it's just Hasbro. And Hasbro were just combining their properties and going, we got to do this as quickly as possible for as cheap as possible, so let's just have that.
Yeah, but on the shelf, they've got a Transformers one that looks pretty good.
Mm.
And then you've got a G.I. Joe, which looks all right as well. But this, I should have bought it. This Transformers versus G.I. Joe just looks so bad.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, look at that YouTube link I've just sent you. And here we go for...
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, Jesus.
Do you know what? It's like Alex. It's like watching or reading Marvels by Alex Ross and looking at the wonderful artwork in that, and then saying, "Rob Liefeld, can you redraw that for us?"
No, it's not even that good. Darren, let me show you.
Oh, God.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna hear us. You're gonna hear us watching the trailer now. Here we go. Look at that.
Jesus Christ, what?
Look at that. That's quality, that is.
So you're telling me that Judge Death is a worm in this one, then?
Do you know what he is?
What is he?
He's fucking badly drawn, is what he is.
It's badly drawn death. Ipso facto.
It's just the worst thing I've ever seen. It's fucking awful.
He needs his little woolly hat.
This is really cheap 90s animation, isn't it?
It's like this is a school.
It's like all that shit unfunny flash animation you used to see.
Yeah.
In the early days of the internet.
Yeah. Now you see,
I don't know what's going on in the fields of comics and animation, but here's a tip for you all: if you're going to go in this field, you have to be able to fucking draw.
Yeah. See, now this is where I go back to my story about going on the IO9 message boards, because what happens is, let's be honest, I've got a little bit of experience with animation, and I've got a little bit of experience of graphics and design.
VU 3D.
And VU 3D on the Spectrum, yeah, absolutely. Yes. And basically IO9 did a story about it, and like, oh wow, look at this. It's the Dredd web series, following on from the Carl Urban Dredd series. Isn't it looking good? I love the roughness of it. And I just went, just one comment, that looks rubbish. And about 40 people leapt on me like a ton of bricks, going, well, if you could do so much, if you think it's so bad, why don't you do better?
And that's when you showed them a picture of...
No, I just went, well, firstly, just does that mean that you cannot criticise anything because you cannot do better? Don't watch a film if you can't pick up a camera. So, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then someone else went, well, if you don't like it, you don't have to be such a jerk about it. It's Dredd after all. And it's like, it's what? Dredd? No, it's not Dredd. It looks like someone with a fucking wonky helmet had a stroke. And it's like, that's not Dredd. It's a pile of shit.
In fact, it's probably drawn by someone who was having a stroke.
And do you know what's even funnier?
Yeah.
2000 AD, right? Yeah. They love unofficial stuff. They do. They don't jump on it. Rebellion don't come down with the lawyers or anything. They get stuff like Judge Minty and all this other stuff that fans do.
Yeah.
And they put it on their blog. They put it on their Tumblr. Unofficial artwork. They put it on their Tumblr. Go on to 2000ADonline.tumblr.com and have a look at some of the stuff that people put up there. Whether it's official artwork or unofficial artwork, 2000 AD will support it. They have done nothing about that web series that we just listened to there. They've completely ignored it.
Because it looks shit.
Because it looks like fucking shit.
Do you know what? That looks like somebody's storyboard that they put together in, a bit of a clip there just to get the idea across.
It's, But apparently, I'm apparently a jerk because I've pointed that out.
Oh dear! Did you dare to have a difference of opinion?
Yes.
It just looks terrible. There's no excuse for it. I know there's the whole generation who've just grown up with this substandard bullshit that's been shoveled at them. But really, guys, come on! If you ever picked up vintage 2000 AD, you saw better artwork sent into Tharg's Nerve Centre by 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
It is. It's fucking crap. It's so awful. And yet, apparently, just because it's tied to the urban dread, it's like, oh, well, then that's it. And it's like, no, because anyone who's thinking about spending any money on a sequel to Dredd, any investors, they want to be taken seriously. They don't want to be looking at something like a first-year fucking animation student sitting there and going, oh, look what I can do in Flash in 30 seconds. It's like bollocks. It's just fucking awful.
Let's hope it's not classed as anything official where Dredd is concerned.
Well, no, they've had to now call it unofficial. But the point is, it's done by the producer of Dredd. It's done by his production company.
Oh, get out.
So they've actually paid people money to make it. That's even worse. Fucking awful.
Terrible.
I mean, basically, the only thing that can make it any worse is if they gave fucking Dredd a Donald Duck accent. I mean,
that is really bad. I mean, I can't believe that.
I've tried my best.
I was criticising it on the thing that I thought it was just some misguided fans with delusions of talent had done it.
No.
But it's got money behind it. It's going, Christ, give me some.
Yeah,
I'll do you I'll do a better Dredd miniseries with bits of paper and shonky stop motion.
Yeah, seriously.
There were better animations. I think what was the Tomatoes cartoon in the 90s?
Oh yeah.
It looked like it was drawn on an Amiga, and it had that horrible animation, but everyone loved it, and it looks very similar to that.
Yeah, it does have that sort of Newsgrounds sort of flash shonky animation stuff that seems to be sort of like, if it looks like shit, it's being ironic.
Yeah, when you draw a circle, it just looks like lines lined up in a circle.
Yeah. All pointing in the right direction. Anyway, so it's fucking awful. It's really the worst fucking thing I've ever seen, and I think the fact that there's a company getting paid money to basically push that shit out. And the worst bit of all is that because people are so desperate for a Dredd sequel that they're lapping it up. That just makes me feel depressed. I mean, this has not been a good week for the internet as in my eyes.
No,
between all the Gamergate shit, and which has clearly gone off the rails in a major way, to this kind of crap. And I mean, it's just like all it's making me think is that the internet is 99.9999999% recurring, full of fucking idiots.
It is.
Maybe it's Renée Zellweger putting stuff out, so it takes a.
She looks
thing
like
off of her face.
She looks like she's put her face through one of those fucking iPhoto things. Seriously,
she looks like somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh, she does.
It doesn't. I mean, if you showed people that out the blue, there's a who's that. It's as someone pointed out, it's not as much as bad plastic surgery. It's the fact it's like she's gone to a Mega City One face changer clinic.
Yeah.
And come out as somebody else.
It is actually like, oh God, it's like that thing I put on the Facebook group. It's like that bit with Captain Amazing in the Mystery Men when they flick the wrong switch on the weapon and then fucking distort his face. It's like a deflated balloon has had a sort of face drawn on it and then pulled out like fucking Stretchy Man. It's like Stretch Armstrong's deflated and then stuck a wig on it. Oh man, what a fucking awful week.
Well, have you tried switching it off and on again? I'm talking about the internet.
What Renée Zellweger?
No, just the internet. Just the internet. Well, I think we need to reboot it.
Yeah,
obviously it's gone a bit wrong.
It's gone a bit wrong, to say the least. Oh, anyway.
Like I was saying to you earlier on, stuff like Gamergate really makes it hard to argue for net anonymity when it comes to stuff what those guys are doing to
everyone.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't even make a complaint about it. She just
You're talking about Felicia Day, just in case anyone knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, she didn't even make a comment on it, as in like, "Oh, you people are bastards." She just said she was frightened to make a comment on it because she didn't want to get doxxed, and
straight away done. Yeah, so
it's gone too far now.
It went too far. Bloody like nearly a month ago, 2 months ago, when it was all supposed to be journalistic ethics was all being discussed, and now all of a sudden it's like, no, actually, it's not. No, everyone's just forgotten about that. It's all gone out the window.
From what I hear, it didn't even. That's not the case anyway. That people have got this wrong. That's not actually what happened. So I don't know how true that is, but really, still over the top reaction. Fucking hellfire.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway. Shall we cheer people up with a shitty superhero?
Yes.
Go on.
Be happy. I got this from the internet.
Where have all the heroes gone? We're left with all the nods. I just want one Superman and not this bunch of slobs. Not a single one of them could take on Mr. Freeze. They're so lightweight they could get blown away in a stiff breeze. The shitty heroes. The Spanish costumes are just a little bit too tight. They're not very cool and they're not very fast, and they're most likely die in a fight. It's shitty heroes. Just one look at these dudes and you know they ain't right. Marvel DC doesn't mean much to me because they are a total shite.
Hulk smash! Puny lunch singer.
Right, this week's shitty superhero. Well, this one's pretty quick, so we can get this one out of the way. He has no alter ego, so I can't give you the name because that will just spoil it, really. But he was a DC character, lasted for 3 whole episodes, and this was, by the way, supplied by Mr. Chris Johnston of Witness for the Defense. And he sent us this guy in. He was one of several recruits from the United Planets to join the Legion of Superheroes. But because of his limited powers, he was quickly rejected by the leader, Lightning Lad. And then he was recruited as a part of the United Planet's Young Heroes. But the team met with disastrous results and everyone was killed. This guy, you'll find out probably why they were killed, because they didn't really have what would be called the cream of the crop in far as superpowers were concerned. And we're talking about the first one. The first one, his name is his power. Fruit Boy.
This can go one of 2 ways.
No,
I'm
not
trying to Google this.
Yeah, don't Google it. Bearing in mind, it's Chris who supplied it. It's called Fruit Boy. Anyway, no. Fruit Boy has the power to accelerate the growth of fruit. That is his power.
Well, it was either going to be the unnerving aim with the fruit, or he can shit fruit.
But let's just, before you think he's got like the power to grow it from seeds, oh no. His only power is to make unripe fruit ripe.
Oh, I could deal with him.
So basically he just waits for the banana to go from green to yellow, but apparently he can make it happen quicker. There you go.
Oh, he sounds like a genius. Every time I go into bloody Waitrose or go get a banana, it's always bloody green.
Yeah, but going into Waitrose with a superhero called Fruit Boy is one thing. Going into battle against supervillains with a with a guy behind you going, "Yes, I shall ripen this banana." Not.
Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing him in like fucking Justice League or something?
I will ripen this banana by the power of Waitrose.
I have irradiated hands. Yes. So, yeah. Would you care to take a look, Dal, at what he looks like? There you go.
He's made a fucking costume and everything.
Yeah, he's got a costume. Oh yeah.
What the fuck?
Not any old shit. And I shall forward you on the link, guys.
Am I allowed to Google Fruit Boy, or shall I just wait for the link?
It might be worth just waiting for the link, to be frank, because
I'll
I
wait
think
for the link.
googling the words fruit and boy might end up in some interesting places that you really don't want to go.
Danny Graydon and police will be around my house before I know it.
Well, yeah, Danny Graydon will be probably got it on a quick link, probably. Right, here we go. There you go, Fruit Boy.
There you go.
There you go. So, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Fruit Boy, supplied to us.
A plonker.
You don't get many of them to a pound.
Yeah.
Oh, the Legion of Superheroes, I might have guessed.
Yeah.
Is his catchphrase, have a banana?
No, but he's appalling.
Oh.
Hey. Yeah, never mind. Yes. So, yes, if anyone...
I think you're graping the bottom of the barrel now.
Oh. Yeah. I'm not going to... No, I'm just going to stop for fruit puns.
I've got to say, you have a choice of him on your team. You're better off just having an orange. At least an orange has appeal.
Oh.
He has a plum job.
If he... Kick him in the plums.
He's a right plum, that's for sure. Yeah,
do you think he smokes his own? Because then he must skin up.
So, like, the reason why he died, is it because he ran out of juice?
I think he probably touched his own plums and over-ripened. Anyway, yes. So if anyone's got any terrible, shitty superheroes,
You know, like his mobile phone. Was he signed up to Orange?
shit. I'm not with bloody pop mic now. Pop shield. Anything else before we go on? Anyone?
I've lost my powers. I can't think of anything at the moment.
Oh.
I heard his favourite video game, or his favourite fighting game, was Mortal Kombat.
Ah. I see what you're doing. Oh. Everyone's desperately frightened. You can almost hear 3-4 old guys just sitting there desperately trying to come up with fruit puns.
Oh yes.
quick. Oh, never mind. Anyway,
I heard he went out on a, because a friend of his went out on a date, and he said, "Would you come along with me?" And he felt like a right gooseberry.
Hold on. We're not quite at the Earth's core just yet.
Oh, no. There's Doug McClure and Peter Cushing. There we go.
Okay, right. Well, then, if anyone else has some terrible, shitty superheroes like that, which you would like to share with us, and we have had a few, but unfortunately, because of the nature of shitty superheroes over the course of 5 years, I mean, it is likely you are going to hit one that we've already done. But thank you for sending them in. But if you've got any ones that you think we haven't done, please do send them in to me at blackdog@geekplanetonline.com. Or if you prefer, just send me a message over Facebook. That'll be great. Anyway, right. Let's move on. Mr. Moon.
Yes.
Let me dig up the jingle once again in the timely fashion of not having this jingle ready ever, so that we can do a profanasaurus.
Killing the kids. Euphemism. what many have done when the Avengers trailer leaked, i.e. twirling Mjolnir, polishing Iron Man's helmet, or Hulk splooge.
Nice. Thank you very much for that, Jim.
My pleasure.
Lovely. Ah, dear. Well, there you go. That's a good little segue onto our film this week. And so let's roll out the jingle for this week's 4 weeks of horror, or indeterminate length of horror, which is Kill List. Okay, so Kill List. Let's go through this. Kill List, directed by Ben Wheatley, written by Ben Wheatley and Amy Jump, starring Neil Maskell, Michael Smiley, Myanna Buring, and Emma Freya. It was released 12th of March 2011 at the South by Southwest Festival. It had a budget of $800,000. And how much do you reckon it took at the international box office?
700.
Anyone else? Any advances on 700?
500.
Okay, 500 quid.
Pretty much, yeah.
And a button.
A button. Okay, well, hold on. I've got all sorts of things fucked about here with the sound. Right, there you go. Anyway, so it actually took $482,000.
Oh.
That was, well, that's it. Elton, well
Elton
done.
was on the money there, yeah. They're well done.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Well, anyway, the production. The shooting took place over 18 days. Director Wheatley was influenced by Stanley Kubrick insofar as he sought to find imagery first and then wrote a plot around the imagery. Each scene they shot one take using the script and then paraphrased the whole thing down and then improvised it. The actors also worked out backstories for their characters through the improvisation. After making Down Terrace, Wheatley wanted to use the lessons learned to make a horror film. The original treatment was a mashup between Get Carter and H.P. Lovecraft and was to have been shot in the Philippines. But as Wheatley dislikes exposition, he decided to avoid it. Instead, he focused on his own fears, nightmares that he had as a child, and domestic disharmony, themes of urban and suburban desolation, and showing hitmen as violent murderers. Wheatley also wanted to highlight the current events, unpopular wars, recession, the erosion of social contract. The film came partly from casting ideas, and Wheatley specifically wrote the part of Jay for Neil Maskell, with whom he had worked previously on a TV series. Wheatley also had a plan for the ending to make sure the story was logically consistent, though he states that there are multiple possible interpretations and the cult itself remains scarier when its motives and backgrounds are shrouded in mystery. Wheatley states that the cultists are a popular choice of antagonists because people are uneasy about the world and feel a lack of control and understanding. Politicians and bankers who control their lives seem inscrutable. The cult symbol was designed by Wheatley, who later recognised the influence from the Blair Witch Project, and Wheatley was worried that people might call him on the similarities, but he also instead was surprised to find that people compared the symbol to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, which he was completely unfamiliar. The song, It Could Have Been Better, was used in the film and performed by Joan Armatrading. And the film was released, and the reception was 76% of the surveyed critics gave the film a positive review, and the average rating was 7.1 out of 10. The consensus was that Kill List was an expertly executed slow-burn crime thriller that thrives on tension before morphing into visceral horror. Metacritic, which assigns normalised scores, rated the film at 67%. Total Film rated the film 5 out of 5, saying as well as being a horror film, it was also a mystery movie, a road movie, and a grotesque riff on the Arthurian legend, and is influenced as much by John Cassavetes, Alan Clark, and Ken Loach as The Witchfinder General, The Wicker Man, and Blood on Satan's Claw. Kill List received positive reviews in America as well. The Hollywood Reporter calling it deeply edgy, gory crime thriller that maintains a perfectly calibrated tension before dropping a bombshell that will be too much for some viewers. Andrew Barker of the Variety called it an artful and sensitively acted thriller, while Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars, calling it baffling, goofy, blood-soaked and not boring. However, Chris Tukey of the Daily Mail gave the film 2 stars out of 5, saying that the film was a frustrating mixture of promising and atrocious, while Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly rated it C and negatively compared it to its influences, while Scott Tobias of NPR compared it to lost tendencies of setting up mysteries and then leaving them unexplained. Well, we'll get on to the rest of it as we go along, if I find any trivia and stuff. But for the moment, let's find out what everyone thought about it. Who wants to go first?
Who's going to raise their hand above the parapet?
Well, let's hear from the people who hadn't heard it first, seen it before first, I think.
Yeah. Who hasn't seen this film?
I've not seen it before.
I'll go first.
Okay, go on then, Elton. So, what do you think of it?
Right. I'm still not sure if I'm impressed or not by it.
Right.
You were watching Facebook at the time when I started watching this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I sent you a text, 7 minutes into me watching this?
Yes.
And I almost guessed the ending.
You did very well. You. I have to say, I was expecting you to completely come up with something that was complete balls, but you actually got as close to the bullseye as you probably could have done with only 6 minutes worth of viewing.
Yeah. And it was just that slow motion bit. It just had massive signposts written all over it. The actual film itself felt like a hardcore episode of EastEnders. Just the shouting and the really quiet stuff. I'm really quiet. And now I'm going to shout really loudly. And it just... either I couldn't hear it or they're just gobbing off all the time. And you think, shut up. It was very off-putting. They were just whispering, "Oh, you're going to kill him. You're going to go over to that table." Yes, I'm going to fucking go over to that fucking table. Yeah. Oh, okay.
The audio was very, very annoying from a point of view of having to keep turning it up and then really quickly turning it back down again.
Yeah.
You know, I hate that when I get that on some Blu-rays I listen to. I'm not sure if it's the sound mix or what, but
yeah,
you know,
it's converting from 5.1 to 2.1.
And it's also a fact like speech and music are two totally different volumes, you know.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. But I understand that completely. Yeah.
I've got 5.1, and you get that even with 5.1, depending on some film mixes.
Oh,
it's I spoke to my brother-in-law, who's a cameraman who does lots of filming for TV and has worked on a few little films, and he moans about it as well. He says it's because they often don't bother changing the sound mix. Because if it's fine, you sound fine in a cinema, but you're not playing it at cinema volume or in a similar cinema space. And so in a home cinema system, it just doesn't work in a small room.
It doesn't seem compressed as much as it should be because, the luffs seem far too high and far too low. So, you have too much of a gap between your highest high and your lowest low.
Yeah.
Which really does take you out.
Yeah.
Because, you're just constantly got your finger on the volume. It's either going up or it's coming back down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, it just gets annoying just watching my bar go up and then down and then up and then down.
Well, okay, apart from the volume then.
Apart from that,
sorry.
I enjoyed it. The first act, the setup of the family and what's going on. You never really find out what went down in Kiev, which I like. That's quite nice. You said it was a film of 3 halves or 3 parts, and it totally is. The second part of the actual the kill list itself of going out and doing the hard man stuff, I kind of liked it. I felt it was a little bit over the top at times. I get their anguish, when they're taking people out and stuff like that. But I didn't feel any sympathy for the guys either being knocked off or them worrying about knocking the people off.
Yeah.
The third act, I get it. It wasn't scary at all.
No.
There was nice symbolism during it, where you had the two rabbits, and Gary caught the two rabbits, and he skinned one and he gutted the other. And only on the second time round did I realise, hang on, that's both of them.
Yeah.
Because Gary gets gutted, and what's the other guy's name? I can't remember his name.
Jay.
Yeah, Jay. He has all his shirt ripped off his back before he goes in for the hunchback. And so that's the symbolism there. But you don't get that until the second time round, because you're wondering what the fuck is going on here. But yeah, it does take a left turn. I do like that in movies. This didn't have the scare or shock appeal that I thought it would, only because I guessed it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so it didn't hit me as hard.
Okay, that's cool. But overall, what did you think of the film? Because I mean, obviously, I know from the general consensus from the Facebook group, without looking at the feedback already, that a lot of people were confused as to why it was even considered a horror film. But
I get why it is called a horror movie. It's an all right movie. It's not as good as what was the other one we did?
Lake Mungo.
No, in Their Shoes or His Shoes.
Dead Man's Shoes.
Dead Man's Shoes.
Yeah, Dead Man's Shoes. It's not as good as that. Dead Man's Shoes was very, very good. This is not as good. I like it. It's all right. I don't think I'll be putting it on again, though.
No, that's fair enough. Cool. Okay. Well, then, Darren, what about you? Because this is the first time you've seen it as well.
It is the first time I've seen it. Okay, we'll leap to the end of the film, right?
Yeah.
More pointedly, the credits. Okay.
Yes.
Credits start rolling.
Yeah.
Both myself and Laura went, "What the fuck? What? That's it. That's what I did to begin with."
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So
Don't worry.
this is my initial knee-jerk reaction.
Yep.
My reason for that reaction is because I felt like I'd been promised something watching the film, and I'm getting into. I'm sitting there thinking, I've got to see this through to the end to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Right. And it's when it got to him becoming king of the grass people at the end, it's like, so that was it then.
Yeah.
I'm expecting something a little bit more than that. It's like, I think I've seen this before. The way it was building up, I thought we were going to get something a little bit, something else, and then it just turned into that. And I think, the reason I don't think I liked it?
Why?
Is because, and I'm probably going to get, I don't know, I'm going to get, some sort of grief from somebody for saying this.
Go on.
But I am one of probably the very few people in this world who, when you say to me, Wicker Man, will go, what a load of old bollocks. I'm sorry, I just don't get on with the Wicker Man at all. Wicker Man, like The Exorcist, doesn't do it for me.
No.
I think it's because I had it drummed into me that Wicker Man, oh my word, Wicker Man, what a fantastic movie. Oh, how brilliant is that?
Yeah.
I come to watch it, and it's like,
well,
thank you very much for kind of drilling that into me, because now I've watched it.
And it's nothing.
Yeah. I don't feel scared by it. I just think, well, it had a promise of going somewhere, and then it just went all fucking Stanley Kubrick 2001. Yeah. And it's like, oh, here comes a psychedelic bit. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not defending the Wicker Man, but I mean, we did have that same thing with The Exorcist, didn't we? We both watched it, and we watched it so late in the day compared to everyone else that when we came to watch it, it was like, what?
Yeah. It's, no.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I saw it on its re-release at the cinema, and me and Amanda walked out going, okay, don't get all the hype about it.
Yeah.
Now,
which is,
sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, sorry, go on. Carry on.
Now, take away the ending of that, and I genuinely liked bits of it. I think it was a bit confusing at the beginning because you feel like you are dropped into the middle of a situation that nobody's. And I've got to say, what you said there about the director, that's something he shouldn't be telling people, that he's not a fan of exposition. This is not a good thing.
No.
You know, I mean, it can. I mean, you can use exposition wisely. Okay,
Yes.
you can just put it in subtly, and it can explain a lot. An image can explain an awful lot of stuff without going into tons and tons of exposition or going, look over here, look at this thing here with the flag waving over here because this is the thing I'm talking about, and I'll keep referring to it over and over again.
You mean Gotham?
Yeah, he's the Penguin.
Yeah, he's the Penguin, you know.
He's Bane. Yeah, I think I'm going to go down to the shop and buy some of that weightlifting stuff.
Yes, who is that comedian?
Exactly. Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
No, being not a fan of exposition. So have we just got to plug into your head and find out what's going on?
Yeah.
We actually had to look this film up afterwards.
Yeah.
And if you have to look up a film afterwards to understand what it's about, then it hasn't done its job as far as I'm concerned.
Fair enough.
You know, it hasn't put the message across that it should do. Okay, it doesn't have to hit you in the face with it, but it has to give you enough signposts to get there.
Right.
And there's one bloke came out with the thing of, the reason they did this is because he's the new Antichrist. And it's like, really? Because I didn't hear the word Antichrist mentioned once in that movie.
No.
So where the fuck did you get that from?
No.
I saw a lot of grass on people's faces. I thought, well, it's just the cult of home base. Is that what it is? Is this? Are we going to find that the bloke in charge is Tommy Walsh? Is that what it is? Or Alan Titmarsh? You know, reveal. Thank you very much.
Nick Knowles.
Nick Knowles, yeah, something like that. Charlie Dimmock.
Actually, she was probably one of the.
I think she was.
She was
one of the booby ladies in the
booby
background.
Ladies,
yes, one of the booby ladies. So, like I say, 3/4 film. I appreciate it. It was. I thought it was well acted, and there's something about film for movies. Something lessons it's teaching me about violence, about how I view violence now. Looking at Dead Man's Shoes, it's the whole thing of how, you know, what I said there when we were watching that film, how it made me realise that, you know, oh no, violence isn't the way. The bit where he's having a go at the paedophile,
the librarian,
even then it was kind of like, I know what this bloke has done.
Yeah,
I know how terrible his crime is. But even after it still seemed, just watching what was going on there, I was still a bit kind of.
It was the hand over the table.
It
wasn't
was,
Oh.
And it was like, stop! You've made your point now. You know, it was the guy's going out of control, and
that's part of the film, though.
I know, and that's. Do you know what? That's the wonderful sort of the difference between him and Michael Smiley's character, where you can see that Jay is slowly retreating into darkness as he's going on. He's getting worse and worse and worse. You can see Michael Smiley's character it's having an effect on him. It's the whole thing with the priest, how he knows the priest has probably done something pretty terrible, but he's still not happy
that he did
with that. He's like crossing himself before they go in and do the job. And it's not even him that takes the priest out. It's Jay. He's the one that does it.
Yeah.
So,
which is kind of leading up to the finale. That's the whole point.
Well, yeah.
Well, at least in my eyes, anyway. We'll talk about that in a bit. But
it's as if Michael Smiley's character is trying to save his soul. You know, trying to bring him back from that brink. Is like Michael Smiley's character is his last chance.
Yeah.
Before taking that step too far.
Yeah.
Fuck it, he's a hitman. He's already taken one step too far. But if you know what I mean, it's the total abandonment and just going for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the whole, leading up to the point where it all goes 2001. And
when it goes a bit Lady Gaga pop video.
Yeah, I should say so.
Yeah.
What's that bloody the one Lady Gaga? So you see, you made me think of this now. They've got masks.
Grass face.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's what's it? It's
poker face.
Is it? No, is it poker face? No, it's not poker face. The one where they've got the long masks on that look like the grass things.
You're
wearing.
Thinking of Kylie Minogue. Can't get you out of my head.
No, there is a Lady Gaga video with that. Anyway, coming off of that. So yeah, all in all, 3/4 of the movie, nice build up. You know, very well acted. I just thought the end was a bit of a, for me. Yeah.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, like I say, everything else up to that point, great.
Cool. Okie dokie. Well, let's move on to Jim. Sir.
Right then. Well, this is my second viewing of it. And this is one of those movies when I got the end of it the first time round, I did kind of want to watch it again to find out what I'd missed. And I didn't actually get round to it because it's kind of I don't actually really fancy watching it again just yet. It's fairly dark and bleak and brutal. I like the both times. I mean, I like the 3-act structure. I like the fact it starts out. You could be watching a Mike Leigh or a Ken Loach film.
Yeah,
and then it shifts into this sort of gritty British sort of crime flick, and then it morphs into a sort of a devil worship cult sort of movie at the end. Now, my first watch, when I got to the end, I was kind of like, what? I did see it coming, though, and that was... I didn't work it out as quick as Elton, which is very good work, sir.
Yeah.
But watching it a second time, I saw how it was really signposted. I saw Elton made his guess. When I watched it the second time, I went, yes, I see. But it's one of those, it's kind of... for me, it was kind of... I was guessing... People had mentioned The Wicker Man in burbling about it, and another film, which I won't mention, which did sort of... because that'll spoil the end of that film, should you wish to watch it. And it's kind of... So I put the pieces together, and I did sort of... The first time I was kind of... It's such a journey. I was kind of... I enjoyed that. I felt the end... It didn't work. I mean, it's one of those films. It's kind of watching it the second time. I felt, well, it is all about the twist at the end, but the twist at the end is actually bobbins. I'm afraid. It has no weight or no dramatic purpose, and it's kind of. I mean, I'll defend to the cows come home films that don't make a shred of sense. I'm a fan of Italian cinema, but it's kind of say like a film like Fulci's Beyond.
Yeah,
which is rampant nonsense and doesn't, or House by the Cemetery. None of the dots join up in that movie. Yeah, you get the feeling it should, but it doesn't. But what you have is just strangeness, but it works because it's all strange. Whereas with Kill List, you get, as Darren says, you get the impression that there is dots to be joined, and it's going to join them up for you, and then it doesn't, and it doesn't. It does it in the most annoying way. Because it's kind of the Wicker Man ending works even on multiple times. It's because it's about the opposition of characters and their beliefs and two opposing religions and kind of they're outsiders, but you realize how he's an outsider as well because he's a Christian when most people aren't, and it's kind of these all sort of switchbacks, and it's still a rounded dramatic story that works. It's not dependent on the twist, if you see what I mean. Yeah. Whereas this movie, it leads up to the twist, and then the twist doesn't make sense. As I said, there's bits of the puzzle missing, and from doing a bit of digging about it, it's kind of I can see how that sort of came together because Wheatley doesn't like exposition, and you work from imagery, and then did the script around it, and it didn't quite add up. We need I take his point that the cult is scarier because we don't know what they are. Yeah, I think if you had more the standard Dennis Wheatley, we are the cult of Astaroth, the AstroTurf, it would diminish their threat. And there's this it's a classic card to play in horror or in a thriller. It's kind of what's really suspenseful or frightening is what you don't know. Yeah, but it's kind of that we need to know why they've crowned him King of the Grass People. Yeah, which is a phrase which is now stuck in my head permanently. But because we don't know that, it's kind of the ending doesn't say it. It's missing that weight, and that kind of it makes the film unsatisfying. So the first time I watched it, I really enjoyed it up until the end. I thought, this is kind of the Wicker Man ending done wrong. That was a bit disappointing. I thought, well, maybe I've missed some of the dots to be joined.
Yeah.
Watching it again this time, it's kind of, no, I mean, I spotted the signposting of things, the rabbit symbolism, but most of all the important, like, plot clues were there, but just not joined up together. You know what I mean? I've got, like, her chalking the symbol on the back of the mirror, the kind of, strange relationship, the way she worms her way in to get with Gal, to get to Jay, and yes, slashing his hands, signing the contract in blood, and it's kind of... But they only have one word of what it's all about, and that's reconstruction. And it's like, we need more than that. We need more, and it's kind of... You don't feel, at the end, him being crowned king of the grass people is going to... turning him into the Antichrist or whatever the hell they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, it's really annoying because it's a very well made film. It's very well acted. And I like the kind of the black humor to it.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite bit is kind of sick, but it's at the lockup and Gal comes and goes, "You're finished yet?" And there's, he's been slamming this guy against the wall. And he says, "Right, we done here. What about him?" And Jay just turns around and just empties a clip into him. And Mike goes, brilliant. Just fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just wonderful to say black humor, and then he makes the you can tell about how the mark of a good painter and decorator is he leaves work without a spot of paint on his overalls.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all this wonderful, really sort of well observed, well acted things. I love kind of the way it's very sort of gritty and realistic, but it's also visionary in the way it's shot. But at the end of the day, it's kind of I mean, I've seen Down Terrace, and that's. The plot in there is kind of, it's understated, but it's all there ticking away, because it is about how a crime family implode in a suburban terrace house of this, father-son drug operation. Yeah. And the characters there and the white, it's very subtle, but it's really well done. Sightseers, again, is something that...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Kill List was the first Ben Wheatley film I saw, and it impressed me enough to go out and seek out Down Terrace and to seek out Sightseers and to be really excited for a field in England. But now looking back, it's kind of, I can see kind of, actually Kill List is probably the weakest of them all because it doesn't join its dots as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Darren, what was that about?
Sightseers.
Yes.
That's the one about the woman who's living at home with the mum who meets the guy with the beard and then they go off on holiday.
Yes.
And
yes,
off people.
Yes.
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 Yeah, around the Lake District.
Yes. Yeah, that's very, very good.
Enjoy your holiday. Yeah. I mean, yeah. For me, I will say that first off the bat is the reason I picked this film rather than something which we haven't done, which is what I was saying to Darren off air, which was essentially, we've done 5 years of horror films and we around Halloween, but we haven't actually done fucking Halloween.
Is that the porn version? Fucking Halloween.
Fucking Halloween, yeah. Michael Myers' big white helmet. But the reason, stabbing motion in your hindquarters. The reason I went for this film was because, firstly, I thought it'd make an interesting discussion. Secondly, I thought as a film, it's not one that a lot of people would have seen, and it was just I find that in horror films, as I said last week with Lake Mungo, sometimes the things you don't know can be a lot more scary. And sometimes these procedural thrillers, which are actually horrors, like was before I say it, was it an Alan Parker film you were about to mention, Jim? When you said you wouldn't give one away in case it gave away the ending.
No, but come to think of it, that did go through my mind as well. Actually, when I first watched it.
Well, actually, I'll say it because it's the ending is quite different, but it does have that kind of, you think you're watching one thing and then you're watching something else, which is Alan Parker's Angel Heart. Then you got
right.
Which have you seen that?
No, but I know the whole
Well,
kind of
okay, I'm not saying
who certain characters are.
I'm not saying anything about it because we will cover that at some point because it is quite an interesting film. But you got that. You have The Wicker Man, which has been mentioned, but there's also films like even something stupid like From Dusk Till Dawn, where you sort of think you're watching one thing, then it turns into something else, and then you've got Dead Man's Shoes, which is obviously quite influential on it as well. And I like that kind of weird 70s oddness. That's what it had, a sort of weird 70s odd feel, where it's like, if you think about it, it's not scary, but because it's just so weird and odd towards the end, it kind of leaves you unnerved. And for me, Kill List isn't a perfect movie by any means. But the whole thing about the ambiguity about the ending, or weirdness about the ending, I didn't really find that as a problem, because the whole point was, as far as I was concerned, the Kill List was essentially picking him out from the start. It was all about picking him out. It wasn't about Michael Smiley's character.
No,
it was all about him. And the other thing was how early it was all set up, because his wife is complicit.
Well, that's the thing. Is she? Because there is that whole thing of her final moments when she laughs. Is she laughing because, yes, the circle is complete?
Yes.
In which case, the small child had to be complicit in it, because you don't hear it screaming when he stabs it through the back. No. Right? Because he basically lays into his son on her back, just keeps stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. Yeah. You don't hear any screams coming from the child. So is the child brainwashed, or has the child grown up with that belief?
No, but that's what I'm saying. The whole thing when you start looking at it, if you watch it, you kind of go, right, okay, well, where does this really kick off? And right at the beginning of the film, she's off talking in Kosovan or Swedish or something like that on the phone right upstairs, and she starts off, she's talking and she's quite straightforward and down with it, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, she's in tears, and it's like I see that as like the realization that she's got to do her part, and she doesn't seem to, the kid doesn't seem that disturbed by all the shit that's going on around him all the way through the film. And and there's that whole scene of Michael Smiley trying to explain it to him, and the kid's just like completely distanced. The fact that the cat dies, he just kind of like, oh, so what's going to happen to the cat? And he's quite flat. And the whole thing feels like this whole thing is kind of, because he even says that the girl, I can't remember her name. What's her name? Jim?
Shell,
that's it. Sorry. Yeah. Shell is kind of, she comes back with him after his tour, and that's the thing. I start, when you start to think of that, you suddenly think, well, hold on, then everyone apart from Michael Smiley is in on it, and the kid is just like a brainwashed, hollow shell, horrible thing. And the mum's involved, and and it's all, because the thing is, if you watch them having that dinner table conversation, they're having that dinner table conversation, and she's deliberately jibing him and winding him up, and then starts having to go at him for basically making a scene. And it's like, well, you're the one starting all of this. Why are you winding him up? Why are you driving him over the edge at a dinner table when you want to have a nice thing? And then Jay even says, oh, you invited them over. And so it's only like, well, hold on. So there's an implication that she's in it from the start. And if it's some kind of death cult, because let's be honest, you see them hang that girl, and the girl just goes up and just hangs herself quite happily, and all that.
Yeah, there's no panic on her face or reaching for her neck or anything, is there?
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
If she's complicit in it, why do we need to have the other girl turning up with Michael Smiley? Because surely they would know.
No, that's the whole thing. It's the setting it all up, because she has to do the mark on the window.
But why can't they just have her coming over by? They don't need Michael Smiley as the link between these two. They could just say that this is someone she's met or something.
No, it's all about, no, but that's the thing. It's all about controlling them, getting them into the right place. Because he said, oh, it all got pretty wild, and she just turned up at my boxing class. the next thing you know, we're pretty wild in bed, and then soon as it's all done, soon as the mirror's marked and the shells sort of been, shall we say, triggering him, then you essentially, she just leaves, doesn't she? She just offs and fucks off. And
yeah, he ends up with a Dear John taped on his cock.
Exactly, Dear John taped to his cock. But also, that's
gaffer tape your cock.
Yeah, exactly. She gaffer taped your cock. But that's the thing. So the thing is, then what happens is she keeps coming round to Jay's, and then what's happening is, by doing that, it's driving a wedge between him and Gal. And so what happens is it's the whole point of isolating Jay, and it's if you watch it, it's kind of like, it's very it's constructed to basically isolate him, drive him over the edge, and eventually get to the point where, because like Gal just picks up the money out of that safe of the librarian, and he's like, yeah, right, wicked. And next thing you know, like, Jay's gone to town with him with a fucking hammer, and he's like, oh, we're gonna do these guys and do that guy and everything else. And that's what it's all about. It's all about triggering Jay. It's all about driving him to this point where he becomes like if you consider it a death cult, and let's be honest, it is very ambiguous as to what it is. But if it's a death cult, then even Shell going out there with the guns and starting fire, every time, as soon as you saw those guys, they just, when Jay gets the gun and starts shooting left, right, and centre of that ceremony, it's like they're all just standing there with their arms out. They're happy to go. And when he gets all those people, every time he kills one, they're all like, "Thank you, it's been an honour, thank you." And it's like, so it's kind of implied it's like a death cult. And if she's involved in some way, then even her shooting the other guys is not a sort of sign that she's not complicit. Yeah,
it's just.
I'm okay. I mean, it sounds like I'm stretching and I'm making points.
No, it's just it's that last final part, because why isn't she laughing under the actual? This is the thing, she doesn't know who she's fighting. No, she doesn't, because they put the mask on him and then they bring her out, and it's just like, it's when they take the sheet off and she looks at him and sees who it is, then she starts laughing, and it's like, well. Is this a?
But then by that point, if you look at him, he's completely gone. He's completely soulless. He's gone. He's absolutely off with the fairies at that point. They punch him in the head. He's just willing to basically stab anything, and he's just a broken, damaged husk of a man who came back from Iraq and has been basically living on borrowed time ever since, because he's just absolutely fucked up. He's just a broken murder machine, and that's why he tries to stay away from the death, and he tries to stay away from the hitman jobs, and then that's why it all kind of conspires to get Michael Smiley back involved and get him back to the house, and it all comes back to getting him back on the horse with killing things.
I reckon that she knew that it was him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did. Because
you have that deliberate thing where he comes home and he's covered in blood and bruises, and she sees his body there. They're husband and wife, so she knows his body anyway. So putting a grass reed over his face isn't really going to make much difference. You still know that that's your other half over there.
And let's not forget, when the ceremony happens, no one thinks to take those fucking masks off. Now, he's got no excuse, because, he's just fucking stumbling around like a hollowed out death machine. She's got every excuse in the world just to take that thing off and just start screaming at them, or even take the fucking sheet off and point out the kid on the back, but she doesn't. And, okay,
look, she's trained for combat, the girl, right? You've seen her handling weapons. She's been put in a situation where she's faced with a combatant that's got a knife that's coming for her. I don't think, she's going to stand there and defend herself.
Yeah, but if you watch how she fights, she doesn't. She just waves that knife about. She doesn't really go for him. And that's the thing. It's like a half-assed thing. We've already seen her sort of go.
Is it? She's weighed down by the child strapped to her back. That's the thing.
Yeah. So then wouldn't she try and get him off? Wouldn't she try and somehow rescue the kid?
But if it's more important to try and stop the attacker, if it's actually like, look, we'll sort that out later on, let's deal with the actual obstacle in front of us, Because me trying to get loose from something is, if I've got a weapon in my hand, I'm not going to waste time while the person's crossing the ground.
Yeah.
To come and get me, wasting trying to undo the ropes. I'm going to try and defend myself with the actual weapon.
That's fair enough. But then surely you try and do something.
Well, the thing is, I was kind of watching it a second time. My kind of gut feeling was that she's actually, when she's the hunchback, both her and the kid are drugged off their knockers.
That's possible.
I thought the kid might be.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible. I mean, but the for me, that's the thing. It's not. It's the ambiguity is weird and it's strange, and it's just slightly throws you off kilter. I admit that it's probably a bit mishandled, but I think as a general whole thing of like, this is a story about how all these weird fuckers with a cult just start way back in. Yeah, it's like Jacob's Ladder. It's like, that's another one. It's like.
That's one I haven't actually watched.
I'm not telling you about anything.
That's fine. That's fine.
But it's just that whole thing of you think you're getting one thing, you get something completely different, and it throws you for a curve. And for me, like I say, this film is not perfect by any means.
No, but it's unusual.
And it's unusual. And it's just not a sunshine coach ride through the fucking sunny Dartford. I mean, it's really quite grim.
It's very much in the same sort of vein as Dead Man's Shoes, as in it's not something we would normally look at, but I'm glad we did, because as I say, there's some fine acting going on, especially the arguments.
Yeah,
when they both go off at one another, that argument is like, I've heard that before outside in the dead of night on an estate I've been on.
Yes.
That sort of level of screeching, that's coming from a real place. That's not just acting. That is, the fucking improvisation there is wonderful.
I mean, yeah, I like I say. I mean, I thought it was well acted. I thought it was, for the most part, well directed, and it was well shot. It was, like I say, my favourite era of horror films in general tends to be the 70s, where things are just slightly skew-ish, slightly weird, not quite. Everything seems suburban and normal, and then all of a sudden something goes a bit fucking Pete Tong.
Yeah.
And, The Wicker Man is not one of my favourite films by any means, but it still has that end, still has that, hold on, this is all just gone fucking well off the range. Suddenly, laws and rules and social contract and everything else just goes completely to tits. It's suddenly like, we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. This is just weird. And the fact that it's kind of somehow involved with the government and different levels of, and it's all about suffering as well, because there's that librarian, he's got all those wank mags, and it's like a hedonistic death cult, and that kind of stuff is really weird and strange, and I kind of appreciate that in its trying to do something kind of not in the usual kind of, hey, guess what, we've got a bad guy or a bad bunch of weirdos, or they're cannibals or zombies again. It's like, it was genuinely quite a weird kind of adversary, and ultimately it's like, it's almost in some ways it's a bit like Mungo, in that whole thing of, it's your predestined direction to end up here. Your character's going to start here, end up somewhere else, and there's nothing they can do about it. They're on that path, they can't stop. And from the instant he cuts his hand right through to the end, it's just an inexorable run to the finish line, and you got no way of stopping it. The guy's got no way of finishing it.
As I was watching it, it was the bit where the guy turns to him and says, "Does he know who you are?" For 1 second there, I thought, is it going to turn out that Jay is actually the Grim Reaper, and this is him, sort of like, he doesn't know he is, but it's bringing that out of him. Is this what this is all for? And this is what he's going to find out, that he's actually, the bringer of death himself.
Well, effectively, that's what he is. That's essentially King of the Grass people at the end. I mean, it is. They basically have him murder his soul out of his body. Essentially, he murders and kills and does things indiscriminately until he's just quite happy with doing it. There's a very telling line when he goes into that warehouse and takes out the dog. And he goes, "Oh, the dog's a 10 a penny," and it's like, right, okay, that's a bit harsh. And then the next thing you see, it's like, if I'm not back in 20 minutes, come and get me. And you see him smashing that guy's face into the wall, and he goes around and goes, was that 20 minutes already? And it's like, yeah, you've been fucking knocking that bloke into that wall for 20 minutes.
It's just a face of paste.
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. And that's the point. It's that whole thing of, like, he's so broken that actually that's the only time he really feels like he's in control. And so that's why when he gets to the final bit and he suddenly goes, oh, fuck this, and he starts killing everyone, and then they don't resist.
Can I go back to the telephone call that Shell has?
Yeah.
And it starts off all calmly, and she's talking in Swedish. I'm assuming she's talking to maybe the doctor or the people paying her, paying Gal and Jay to go off and do this kill list.
Yeah.
And, if it is this death cult that they feel once they have been killed, then they are moving on to a higher place, and that is their purpose in life, to be killed. And so maybe she's going through the throes of having the conversation. Okay, right, you've seen what happened in Kiev, you've brought him back. It's now time for you to give up your life so he can continue his.
Finish his journey.
Yeah. And so she's quite happy to go along with that. And, the whole dinner party and everything that she set up, that's fine. But then it's mentioned, yes, you have to go all the way. So the kid has to die as well. And that's where all the screaming and the crying and the shouting comes from. Yeah. And so, the only way to kill him is, to drug him up and put him on the back.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much ambiguity to the whole finale. I mean, what actually happens to the kid? Why doesn't the kid struggle as a hunchback? Why don't you see his arms moving about or anything like that when his arms are clearly free when you see the body at the end? There's lots of, you can guess, and my guess is just as right as anyone else's. But,
well, if you want to hear what I consider one of the most stupidest things I read this week, when I was looking at interpretations of Kill List.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of sites, it advanced two propositions. One, it's all a dream.
Okay.
And the second one is that, he is being primed to become the Antichrist, which is the common one.
Yeah.
And in the comments, some guy said, it must be a dream because satanic cults aren't real.
Okay.
It's like, okay, right, there's a time and a place for skepticism, but, fella, this is a movie.
Yeah.
We don't need that level of skepticism brought to the table. I don't think, you fucking twat. You do know this isn't a documentary.
Yeah.
Somebody take his internet privileges away.
Yeah.
He's going, come on, Jesus.
Yeah.
Just had a thought. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt or anything.
No,
but I'm going to.
No, go on.
The kid on the back. There's a lot of alcohol in this movie. He buys a lot of alcohol at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And you also have that. I'm guessing the kid's drunk on her back because you have that scene where the screen is all black and you've got the boy whispering, "Wake up, wake up, wake up," and he's tapping and tapping and tapping on the dad, trying to wake him up. Now that could be a symbolism of the kid on the mum's back and the dad, for want of a better word, tapping on his back.
Well, I mean, you could also look at it another way. You could look at it as the kid basically sort of like as a part of, complicit in the whole thing, going, time to wake up, sort of time to get on, because that's the start of, that's him taking on the job. Once he wakes up, he takes the job on. So, you could have the kid basically essentially saying, wake up, it's your it's time for you to get going on this course that's set for you. If you want to want to think a bit, in symbolic terms, the kid is actually saying, this is it, wake up, wake up, wake up, you're off now. But I don't know, I mean, like I say, that's almost the joy of this film, such as the film has any joy at all, because it's fucking grim as arseholes. But it's that whole thing of it's just weird enough with enough loose threads that you can sort of twizzle your fingers around and go, well, maybe this means something, or maybe that means something. And yes, some people find that really irritating, and I can find that really irritating in a lot of films. But for me, the ending seemed quite clear as to its intent and where he was going, and the fact how he ends up. He didn't react at all to Shell's death and the kid's death at all. He was just completely blank, and that was it. Congratulations, you've expunged what little soul you've got. You've given it up, and that I just found it curiously weird and just off kilter. And especially when you think, it's going to be like an East End gangland, it's two hitmen on the road, hey, sort of movie. Then to find out, actually, it's two hitmen on the road. They've found kiddie porn. They've gone a bit off the rocks. Shit, they've signed a seal with the devil. Fuck, it's a death cult. The end. Ding, 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 ding. Doom, 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 doom.
I think for me the thing is that these are the end and the questions. I think kind of in sort of this sort of thing in the horror genre or whatever, you can end a short story like that, but not a novel.
Yes,
and I think that's the problem I certainly have with it. And a lot of people, you just need a bit more to make to resolve something at the end, rather than having to infer it later on.
Yeah,
I think what you say exactly right, but it's kind of what I need to know is why do they want a soulless death machine? What's the point to that? Is it foretold, or I don't even need to know a lot, but I just need some sort of
hint,
really, just to make it kind of it has come full circle that he's become what you thought he was fighting, or something. I don't know what. I mean, but just you know what I mean. I just feel like there's like a piece of the puzzle missing. And it wouldn't be a big thing have to go in, just a little thing. Would just give it that kind of sort of a satisfying mystery rather than one that kind of just grinds on me a bit.
Yeah,
and kind of makes me not annoys, because I think it's too good a film to really annoy me, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of. It's just missing something for me.
Yeah.
Maybe the original Doctor was Harold Shipman.
Yeah, that's the reason why. That's why the reason why the Doctor was away. He was off in running around nursing homes.
The symbol.
Yes.
That was.
Yes.
You see it at the beginning anyway, and you see the end, and also on the back of the mirror. Did you notice where else it appeared?
No.
Because it appears one other time.
Where?
When Michael Smiley's going through, I think it's Michael Smiley going through the safe, and he pulls out a folder.
Yes, right? It's on there.
It's on the lid of the folder.
But going back to that folder, actually, that whole thing with the folder is the whole point, and that is a further point that has been set up a lot long earlier. Is like they've got photographs of them, they've got information about the Kiev thing that went horribly wrong that we never really found out about. There's an awful lot about this.
Well, Michael Smiley actually says when they have the confrontation with the client, how fucking long have we been working for you?
Exactly. And I appreciate that kind of stuff. I love that kind of inference that there's more to this than meets the eye. And they don't go completely over the top going, well, my name is Mr. Lewis Cypher, and I am here with my big red eyes. Or anything like that, or by the way, if you just like to step into this wicker basket, it's shaped like a man, but there's some fruit in it. Go on, in you go. Don't mind the matches. Don't worry about that. So yeah, I mean, I know it would grate. I mean, in other films, it has grated on me something rotten. But sometimes things like this. I mean, I tell you, there's another film that's probably, I don't know if anyone's seen, but it has a very similar kind of vibe to it. Is a film by Richard Stanley called Dust Devil.
Yes, yeah.
No, I've seen that.
No, that's a really strange old film as well, and it has that same kind of. It's not telling you enough. It's just giving you just tantalising glimpses, and it kind of like you go, Okay, I think I can make up my own ending from this. I think I know where this is going. But yeah. But I don't know.
I like Dust Devil actually.
Dust Devil,
quite a lot of her. Yeah.
It's got a lovely
Mental
soundtrack.
film.
It's great. Yeah, it's better than Bloody Hardware, that's for sure. Anyway, all right. Well, any last thoughts before we move on to feedback? No. Jim?
No, I think I've said. Let's see what the feedback is have to say. I'm interested to see different reactions to this movie.
Yeah, I think it's going to be summed up with three letters: W, T, and F. But we'll see how it goes. All right, then. Let's run the jingle.
Now put your hands up, here online, doing real fine. We're doing our podcast thing. It's called Blackdog. It's not like a job. Is anyone there listening? What do you think of our show? Let us know by MP3 or email. Just get it to us. It ain't no fuss. We'll even read your Twitter rings. Cause if you like us or you hate us, send some feedback in. Got a geek and punch your rates and put some feedback in. If you think my voice is sexy, put some feedback in. Man, we really like it if you put some feedback in.
Right, okay, so it's feedback time for everyone. We got quite a bit of feedback to go through, so I apologise in advance if we don't cover everything listed in your feedback, because we're going to have to blast through it, because it's midnight, and we got 10 pieces of feedback to rock it through. So, thank you to everyone for sending in their feedback, but here we go first, with Mr. Michael Cornett, the belly stapler himself, from the blog dustandcorruption.blogspot.com.
Talking of that, by the way, on a quiz show last night, I don't know what the fuck it was called, but there were actually people stapling stuff to somebody's belly.
Really?
Yes.
Nice. See?
Classy.
See, we lead the way.
The section was called the notice board.
Yes. Was it? Okay. All right, then. Well, moving swiftly on before you go. No, don't. So, Michael writes, Kill it with fire. Gentlemen, I bear you greetings as we finally begin our journey into the depths of the earth. The drill ship SS Euphemism's fuel of hand-wavium and its armour of shut-upium is complete and in place, and we have uniforms ready and loaded our weapons into the craft, including an assortment of rifles, laser cannons, and my special sonic laser staple gun. Everything is proceeding smoothly until it turned out that Professor Powerbottom had overcharged his credit card for one of our bakers, and one of our bakers had finally decided to finance a Broadway musical hit instead. So when the creditors began knocking on the door, he insisted that we launch right away. It did seem like the right thing to do, although with the euphemism moving before we realised that Roger the cabin boy forgot to pick up the uniforms in the dry cleaners. So now Professor is in a lab coat and sweats, the Captain Throbchest is in boxer shorts and a Metallica t-shirt, and I won't even describe what the others are wearing. We are on a motley invasion force. I had time to catch Kill List before we launched. Well, what an interesting little film. Well, maybe not terribly. Lots of people swearing and fighting, then obscure and oblique hints to unholy things going on, and stuff that happens seemingly for the sake of happening. Okay, it's not that bad. Watching this, I can tell what they were trying for something different, and building up a story of a semi-Lovecraftian cultist horror, only doing so in a very indirect way. But it's not my sort of thing. I enjoy watching. I'm sure this is a very good film for somebody, but it's just not me. It's not my cup of tea, glass of gin, or whatever. Performances seemed okay, although the visuals weren't anything remarkable, except for the cult scene at the end, which has some strange atmosphere to it. Ultimately, I found it frustrating as it raised all sorts of questions that were left unanswered, and while I'm normally someone who has no problem with filling in the blanks, I'm not given enough info to fill them in with without having to speculate and guess, and the rest of it doesn't draw me in enough to give me much to work with. I can't say it's a bad movie, it's just not my kind of movie, and I respect its intentions, but I don't like it. And now I have to pay attention to our mission. Professor Powerbottom is tinkering with the instruments while Captain Throbchest is trying to figure out how the steering works. I have to have a meeting with Major Hardass and Lieutenant Longarm in my quarters. So I'll see you later. Michael Belly Stapler Cornett, who's now currently 2 kilometers down, I guess. Thank you. Well, there you go. Sounded a bit like your feedback, actually, Jim. To be honest. Apart from the Throbchest bit, obviously. Unless, of course, you got something to tell us.
Not at this moment, Your Honour.
Okay. Not in front of the court of witnesses. Anyway, Darren.
Yes.
Who do you have first?
Okay, I think this is a new feedbacker.
Uh-huh.
Let me just get that about. Yeah.
Oh, exciting.
Indeed. It's from a young man by the name of Tom McCamberley.
Ah.
And Tom writes, Dear Blackdoggers, well, that was a thing, wasn't it? Okay, a little backstory. Way back in 2001, I watched The Wicker Man for the first and only time in my life. It was a captivating film that kept me going all the way through it because of how surreal it was. By the time we got to the end of the film, I was horrified to see the Eddie Woodward stuffed into the eponymous idol and burnt while the villagers, led by Christopher Lee, just stood there singing. It was at that point I found out that I have a very, very bad reaction to horror stories that could be completely real. It seems that I depend on the spooks and the supernatural to help me through a horror story, and without them, I react as well as Elton did to Lake Mungo. How many potatoes was this?
I was going to say, was there a full plate of gravy?
Maybe a bit of broccoli on the side? No? Okay. And now I've gone and watched another of those literally bloody pictures again. The opening logo carved bit was the opening logo carving bit was arresting and initially confusing and disturbing, and dropping the viewer into a full-on screaming match between Jay and Shell didn't do me any favours either. What the hell did one have to do with the other? By the time the dinner party came on and we saw Fiona repeat the carving from the movie's opening, that's when it hit me. We're in Wicker Man territory now. It settled into an uncomfortable ride. There were several times while watching this I had to turn away and shut my eyes. I couldn't watch it when Jay was beating up the librarian, and by the time we got to the construction of the sight violence afterwards, I found myself idly flipping through a Judge Dredd comic to take my mind off the real violence on the screen in front of me. Trust me, the irony isn't lost on me. By the time we get to killing the MP and the full-on Cthulhu cult review parades through the forest, I could feel myself squirming in my seat. That scream they did as they attacked unnerved me. The fight in the sewer and Gal's death didn't do me additional favours either, and seeing there's still 10 minutes left of the film, I knew the worst was yet to come. So then the finale, with Jay fighting the hunchback, who I correctly guessed was Shell, but incorrectly forgot about the hump. As the credits rolled, like the priest, I was grateful for the end. Now there's a lot to admire about this picture. My taste aside, the story is great. The Shining Light score is fascinating and completely matches the surrealness of the movie. And the gore effects. Oh, Gygax, the gore effects. It's a good picture, and it's a great horror story. Probably. It's not just one of my favourite horror stories. Until next time, Black Doggers, I'm going to watch The Changeling until the horror goes away. Tom.
Thank you very much for that, Tom. Yeah, there you go. So, it was a scary horror film for him. That seems like a job done then.
Well, there you go.
Huzzah! Except maybe not a very comfortable watch. Well, anyway. Well, Karen,
he didn't sound like he was enjoying it.
No, he didn't sound like he was enjoying it. Enjoying it in the same way you enjoy a root canal.
Exactly.
But
going off of that, can I ask you guys what part of the murders you felt most uncomfortable with? Because for me, it was the bit where he got the hammer and just hit his knee constant. I felt that. My leg turned into a rod of metal and he was hitting it.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
The librarian sequence is, for me, the most uncomfortable bit.
Mm. But it was all sort of rumoured military tortures, isn't it? That was the other thing. It was all that whole thing of, like, taking a cigarette and sticking it in the back of his neck. The hammer to the hand. The hand was the bit where I suddenly went, ooh,
Yeah.
Because that's split.
Yeah.
But the bit that actually really got me, the bit that I suddenly went, oh fuck, was when he actually laid his head on the table and then took a big old swing up, and then you see his head just turn into a blancmange, and it was just like, fuck, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting the hammer to kind of bounce off a rubber doll. Didn't expect it to carry on going right through to the table. That was a bit like, oh fuck, he actually did it.
It's the ferociousness with which he does the attack, and it's getting worse and worse.
It's also a little flap of scalp.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just a little detail that always burned in my mind. He pulls the hammer out, there's like a little flap of...
Back and to the left.
Yes, exactly.
Oof. Okay, well, thanks.
Should tell that for Anodine adverts.
Yeah. Does it feel like Jay's going at your scalp with a fucking claw hammer? And you need aspirin. Oh, well, thank you very much for that, Tom, anyway. And thank you for the feedback, and hopefully we'll hear more from you in the future. So, Jim, who do you have next?
We have the otter puncher himself.
Ah, Mr. Jack P. Starro.
And he writes, "Gentlemen, lady, greetings of the day upon you all." No, I don't understand either.
Okay, I was going to say, was that it?
No. It was, who's the lady? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I think we can all take turns, can't we?
Whose turn is it for the wig? Yeah.
I don't know. Who's the furthest away? Elton. It's your turn tonight.
Okay, then.
It's always Elton's turn.
Yeah. Out in Yelding. Yeah, it's always gelding in Yelding.
It's Wicker Man country there anyway.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, carry on, Jim, quick, before this descends into nightmare.
Yeah, right. Well, this was an interesting one. Watched it pretty cold, which helped, and had absolutely none of the pussy mode requirements of last week. In fact, I didn't really find it that scary at all. Unsettling and confronting in places, but not terribly scary. Actually, I'm not even sure I'd classify this as horror. Watching interviews on the disc afterwards, it was pretty clear that even the filmmakers saw it more of a genre hybridization, and as much a deglamorization and deconstruction of the hitman/crime genre as any straight-up horror film. That much, I think, is pretty evident, but even the horror aspects seem fairly unhorrific to me. Maybe this is my horror genre ignorance at play again, but this reminded me more than anything of The Wicker Man, which I don't really consider a horror film so much as a cult film, i.e. a film about a cult. Are death cult films horror films by definition? I'm not sure. Well, without going into a whole semantic debate about the definition of horror, I'll just say that in terms of Jack's pussy-o-meter, virtually none of the things I found scary about this film at all were the emotionally prompting Scott constantly telling me, "This is creepy, you should feel unsettled," and the frequent use of jump cuts, which gave the film a stuttery, nervous quality. But in terms of actual content, I wasn't really bothered, no. That said, I thought the film was quite good. It was engrossing and had good performances and characterization, although, much like last week's film, the improvisational style had its shortcomings for me. Much like my comments on Dead Men's Shoes, I found the accents, lingo, rapid speech, and especially the constant fucking whispering in this movie made at least 60% of the dialogue totally incomprehensible to me. I actually ended up putting on the subtitles after the first couple of scenes and watched the rest of the film that way. The three leads were excellent. I really liked the missus and would love to give her a proper sorting out, innit? Oh, sorry, I'm slipping into their lingo. Bollocks! I mean, shit! Anyhow, yeah, I thought the violence in the film was very good, by which I mean effective. I liked the fact it had an unglamorous aesthetic which seemed to be striving for a kind of realism. The torture scene in particular seemed very fresh and arresting in its even-handedness. It seemed to be neither fetishizing nor reveling in the act like a torture porn movie or an old-school video nasty, nor did it present it as some kind of heroic act of pragmatic necessity or justified vigilanteism. It was just nasty, brutal and unflinching. And ultimately, it was character development for our perception of our perpetrator's sanity. I don't actually have heaps and heaps to say on this one, because most of my thoughts are about speculating on what is left unsaid in the film, which I imagine others will cover, about the nature of the cult and why exactly they're grooming the lead hitman to become their ceremonial king of killers or some such thing. Whether he's some kind of anointed one or antichrist, or they were just trawling for someone with the right background of lethal skills, moral indignation, and emotional instability to fulfill whatever ritualistic function they require, or wondering how far back their designs on him actually go. Probably my biggest disappointment with the film is that I saw the end coming. As soon as the hunchback was revealed as a masked person in a white sheet, I instantly knew it was his wife and their son strapped to his back. I'll credit them that I don't particularly have any idea how or why they were able to get the wife to do this, given that she was shooting them down in self-defense moments earlier, and I don't find it plausible that she didn't recognize her own shirtless husband, even if he was wearing a mask. But her dying laugh does give everything a very ambiguous final note, which I suppose is a good irresolution. I suppose is good if irresolution doesn't bother you. I felt that the intended shock that they'd manipulated him into butchering his own wife and child to the climax to this spiralling tale of violent madness was too predictable for me. Maybe I just leapt there too quickly because it was more or less the same plot twist to another film, which I won't name out of spoiler courtesy, which came out around the same time as Human Centipede and was banned in several countries. I actually refused to watch it, but I was aware of the plot, and this was just unfortunately rather similar, if mercifully less pornographic. Not much else from me on this one, chaps. I thought it was good. I'm glad I saw it, but I don't think I'll likely ever come back to it. And now, I can't wait to get down with Jim's toys and get my coombs on. Oh yeah, baby. Love and infanticidal hugs, Jack.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Jack.
Yeah, cheers.
And yes, now Jack's mentioned it, I do know the film that you were about to spoil there, Jim, and you didn't.
It's the same one I
Yes.
was thinking of. Yes.
Yes, it's an Eastern country.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Cool. Not going to say any words. Right. Well, thank you very much for that, Jack. Sounds like, well, it's good to introduce people to new films. I'm liking this, even if they don't necessarily dig it. And luckily, we haven't sort of fired off his pussy meter, so that's quite cool. Well, Darren's looking at me really odd. No, you know, the panic button.
I'll
Jim,
raise you the people's eyebrow.
the people's eyebrow. Fuck off with that rock shit. And I'll give you the people's finger. This one.
You know what? It doesn't matter what you think.
Right. Well, anyway, thank you very much for that, Jack. Yes, we will be getting our coombs on a bit in 2 weeks' time when we all reconvene. But anyway, let's move on, and we'll hear more from you about that, I'm sure. Right. So, Elton, who do you have first?
I have Martin of the Thompson.
Yes, Mr. Thompson of the Martin. I don't know why I said arse. I never meant to say arse. There wasn't no intention saying arse at all. I went to say, yes, and it kind of compressed down into arse. Sorry, well Martin.
And he writes, Dear Lee, Darren, Jim, and Elton. So, Stephen Moffat saw this and decided that he was the right man to direct Doctor Who? Was he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he directed the first Peter Capaldi episode.
Oh.
And the second one with the Dalek.
Oh, and yeah, that's right. And the second one with the Dalek, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
You seem nonplussed, Elton.
It's Doctor Who, innit?
Yeah. Okay. Keep talking.
Okay. I haven't seen Kill List before, and for once Amazon Instant came up trumps, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. For the record, I was eating pizza while watching this, and all slices were consumed by the end. Everyone's starting to eat food while they watch movies.
It's because you're a trendsetter, Elton. Accept it, mate.
Going by the name, I thought something violent involving guns, and I wasn't far wrong. From the way you were describing it, I also expected the gear change, much like from Dusk Till Dawn, halfway through, although the horror element didn't kick in until the end. I'm sure many others have already mentioned the Wicker Man vibe about it, and that the shocking final scene with the hunchback, which has not left me ever since I saw it. I'm also not sure what to make of the look Jay gives to the camera at the end. I recognise many of the actors from comedy roles in various TV shows, and it was good to see them in the new light. Overall, it was interesting watch and one I may be tempted to go back if it appears on TV. Cheers, Martin.
Thank you very much for that, Martin. Yes, good feedback. And yeah, now you can see why a few people were very weirded out and concerned about the Ben Wheatley approach, sort of like assigned to direct to 2 episodes of Doctor Who. It's like, really? That guy? What? Okay. Yeah. What kind of Doctor Who are we going to get? Anyway, thank you very much for that, Martin. And now it's on to my second piece of feedback. He says, having taken his glasses off and minimised the bloody email. So that's really good. So, the next piece of feedback we have is from Pete Hammond, Stacker Hammond. And he writes, thank you. That's the title. Hello, esteemed gentlemen of the Blackdog. Kill List. Despite what I thought, I hadn't seen it before. If I had, I would have remembered it immediately and switched it off again. First up, I'm a bugger for recognising people from roles and that role getting stuck in my head. The classic being Donald Faison, Dr. Turk from Scrubs, turning up in Skyline. It took me right out of the film, so it was here. Fiona being from the arse-numbingly bad comedy Phone Shop, Jay being the newsagent fellow out of The Mimic, and of course Tyres from Spaced. So it had a lot of work to do to start with. And start working it did. I quite like the jump cuts between scene-to-scene dialogue bleeding into the next scene. I rather like the interplay between Jay and his missus. Jay and Tyre's relationship was kind of cute too. Ruined it a bit when Fiona carved a rune into the back of the mirror and immediately thought there would be some cult turning up somewhere. But hey-ho. The business trip style of them going off to complete their list I rather like too. Drab rooms, no Wi-Fi, shoot a priest, thump an evangelist, who was also in Game of Thrones and Man-Stroke Woman. Off I go again. But then he went off the list and they find the files, and it all went off the rails a bit. Rather like Jay, it lost its way and go off to a country cottage. Good idea, love. No bad can come of that, obviously. I don't know if it was that I was in the right frame of mind. I don't know if I was expecting a horror film. I didn't really think this was one. Or I just got a bit bored about an hour in. And when it got to the middle-aged nudes with flaming torches, oh, right, it's the Wicker Man now. Right, fine. And in the ending, pointless surrealist tripe. Almost like something out of League of Gentlemen. And I wondered if his missus under the blanket was giving her son a piggyback. Oh, right, it is. Oh, right, well done. I can well imagine I'll be in the bunker of shum for this one, but I thought it was nonsense. Sorry, Lee. Oh well, Reanimator next. Let's hope that it's as good as I remember it. Stacker Hammond. P.S. I once worked with a girl who used to cook up and eat animals that her cat brought home. Really hot she was. I didn't fuck her though, because she was clearly mental. Thanks very much for that. I feel like that's a revelation too far at this time of night. But it's still at least we were all paying attention. It proves that.
Sometimes less is more.
It's nice to know where his limits lie.
Yeah. When you start eating food the cat brought back, yeah.
I think it's very much a case of too unlimited and no. There's no limit.
Yeah. Oh well. Thank you very much for that, Pete. You're not going in the bunker because I think, as we've all discussed, it isn't a perfect film, and I'm not sort of wedded to it. But good on you for trying it anyway. Right, Darren.
Indeedy.
Who do you have next?
We have Teresa Bowles.
The Frog Stomper.
Indeedy. And Teresa writes, good evening, chaps. Do you know who is on my kill list? Everyone involved in making this steaming dog turd of a movie. If it was a frog, it would have been stomped. That pretty much sums it up. If I say any more, I'll actually have flashbacks of it, and it was bad enough from first viewing. Bye for now, Teresa Frog Stomper Bowles.
Well, there you go. That's pretty. That's pretty that's pretty unequivocal.
Yeah, Teresa, if I could just ask in future if you could just cut your feedback down a bit, because we've only got so much time and we do have to go to bed. So we'll let you off of this one, but try not to be so verbose next time.
Thank you very much for that, Teresa. Ignore the silly old cock.
Oh, actually, it's a perfect length. Yeah, straight and to the point.
Right, anyway. Thank you very much for that. Jim, who do you have next?
Next, we have another regular, Mr. Gareth Lloyd.
Gareth Lloyd. Go on, carry on.
Subject line, Kill List. A.K.A. if you go down to the woods today, run like buggery. Hello, chaps. Well, I watched Kill List about a year ago, and I found it a solid horror thriller, and I loved the twists of the story. But watching it again, I wondered if it would be so memorable now that I knew what was coming. In fact, watching it again, I found it was even more unsettling and atmospheric. The plot goes from kitchen sink drama to urban thriller to out-and-out horror effortlessly, and its leading running time means there's absolutely no fat on the plot. The performances are great, and the ambient soundtrack give it a real ominous atmosphere. But best of all is Ben Wheatley's direction, which gives the film a documentary look that creates an oppressive and disturbing feel. And while it is obviously influenced by The Wicker Man, it's a powerful movie, though far from being a feel-good film. So, a solid watch, but I'll leave it a while before watching it again. So, thanks, guys. Gareth.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Gareth. See, I'm glad I got someone on side. That's good. Though you do need some happy pills and maybe watching Mary Poppins once you've finished. It's not a film to cheer you up. It's not one on the Samaritan's happy list. Oh, thank you very much for that, Gareth. Anyway, Elton.
Yes.
Who do you have next?
Right, hang on. My phone has gone to sleep. I have Glenn Kimberly.
Aha. And what does Glenn have to say? I nearly said Kim Glenberly there.
You're doing well tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, it's really getting late.
Right, I'll rush through this then.
Sorry. Go on.
He says, hello, Lee, Darren, Jim, and Elton. Just finished watching Kill List for the first time. I have to say I really enjoyed it. Although I don't know if I enjoyed is the right word, as it was rather grim and ended up on one hell of a down note. But it did grip me from early on, mainly from when the woman carved the symbol in the back of the mirror and you knew something wasn't quite right here. The very brutal killings, especially the librarian, were a little tough to watch. Some good acting from the two leads helped to bring you into the story and keep you watching until the very harsh ending. It took a rather Wicker Man style turn in the final part, which was very creepy and unexpected. Thanks for the recommendation of watching this. I'm glad I did. We'll have to check out the Sightseers and a Field in England now. It does make you wonder, now that he's been directing episodes of Doctor Who, how these episodes could have turned out if he'd been given full run. Don't think they would have been family friendly, but certainly interesting. Take care, chaps. Glenn.
Thank you very much for that, Glenn, and thank you, Elton, for reading it out.
That's right. Can I ask, the symbol on the back of the mirror?
Yes.
If everyone's in on it, what's the point?
It's just a symbolic thing. It's just a part of the cult. It's just a part of marking the territory, of cursing the land. This has been done in other cult movies before, hasn't it, Jim? The whole thing of leaving a marker or leaving a talisman.
There was the thing of the secrets. I think there's something similar in The Omen.
Yeah.
But as Elton says, though, it does there's evidence for against his wife not being part of the cult.
No, but
because she also takes the blood-stained tissues where Jake cut himself shaving.
Yeah, which was caused by the kid, though.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's one of those. It's kind of, we don't have enough evidence to go on either way, but it's kind of her carving the symbol. I mean, maybe she's the high priestess, and only she can do it if the wife's in on it. But I tend to see her as she's kind of the cult coming into the family. And that's why she does it and why the wife doesn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, my impression was that she, that the wife was kind of a lower order of this, and her job was purely to get him on the path that he was on, to sort of drive him forward. Basically harry him and have his kid, harry him and basically just drive him forward to killing and killing and killing. Because she didn't seem that bothered, because she clearly knew what the jobs were. Yeah, and clearly knew that he had weapons that he'd nicked, and she even gave him the assault rifle.
Yeah.
So there's all that kind of stuff. You know, it's circumstantial, but it's nevertheless it's evidence to sort of suggest that maybe all she was the handler. She's not a priest or anything like that. Rather than, and that's why the symbol has to come in from someone completely different, because she's not qualified to do it, or some bollocks like that. I know. I mean, again,
well, she'll be the sacrifice, wouldn't she? The wife.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have the sacrifice performing the ritual. But there you go. But all up in the air.
So I've just had an image there. You say you wouldn't want the sacrifice performing the ritual.
Yeah,
it's a bit like a leg of lamb switching on its own oven and preparing itself and sticking itself in there.
Yeah, sticking a spike up his arse and going, oh, right, I'll be ready in about 3/4 of an hour. You can get some pita breads over there. It's like that. Was it Peter Davidson from
Dish of the Day?
Dish of the Day from Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Can I recommend some rump? I've been working out and eating lots of grass. Yeah, so we'll have 2 breasts, 2 rumps, and a side order of a leg. Very good, very good. Now, if you don't mind, I'll just go off and shoot myself. Anyway, right, well, thank you very much for that, Glenn. Thank you for the feedback. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's always nice to sort of introduce people to films that they've never seen before and they actually enjoy it. That's really cool. Right, so now it's on to the MP3. The first one is from feedbacker Mr. John Campion, who kind of hinted that he wasn't exactly super looking forward to this laugh fest, as he referred to it last week. So let's hear what he has to say about Kill List.
Hi, Lee, Darren, Jim and Elton. So this is my 3rd time watching Kill List. After 1 and 2, I thought I had a handle on what the meaning of it was. After 3, not so sure again. Maybe I need to watch it 4 times. So to start with, my idea was that the film is about the idea of hitmen as heroes and anti-heroes in films. So you see the characters introduced, you see the mundanity of their lives, their failure as people in the normal world, and the sort of grotty grimness of their job. And everything goes a bit too far for comfort. The scene in the hotel with the people with the guitar has a really unpleasant undercurrent to it than perhaps you wouldn't get in a more conventional telling of that story. In the same way, the murders have a grimness that perhaps you wouldn't get either. A sort of sadism that pushes beyond the point that you would see it as being just payment for the wrongs they've done. So that brings you to the end of the film, where the Jay character is crowned by the cult, and you could kind of read that as the lionising of that sort of character in popular culture. So that's one possibility, but it's not without good reason that if you Google Kill List, the autocomplete almost certainly brings up meaning as the next word. So another theme is the way that the cult seems to lead him to that point. And I think one of the points of contention is quite where that starts and who's involved in it. If you think about the way Jay and Gail get their jobs, it's his wife that arranges all that, and then at the end she's seen smiling in the same way that the victims before had smiled at Jay or thanked him, and that introduces a bit of doubt as to when all of this had started. There's some visual hints too, like the corridors, that the one in the hotel, the one in the sort of subterranean bit, only lit by the head torches close to the end of the film, which are all them being funneled towards a particular point. That bookending of scenes is quite interesting because there's a lot of that as well. If you think of the some of the scenes at the start of the film, you see the rabbit with its guts hanging out, which mirrors Gal's death at the end. You see the hung cat on their doorstep, which mirrors the first sacrifice you see the cultists make. And then, of course, you have the sword fight, which mirrors the final scene with what Jay thinks is the hunchback. So, yeah, you start to wonder, is that all part of the cult's plan? And it's to lead him up to that point in the same way that the victims on the kill list seem to lead him to them and seem to know who he is and about that greater plan. Again, the smiles when they see him and the thank yous from the librarian even as he's being tortured in that case, and from the priest as he's about to be killed by Jay. There's even, and I know this will please Jim, a reading of the film that sees it as a dream. So the initial part of the film prior to the actual kill list, that is foreshadowing the things that happen in Jay's dream later on. So in that reading, all those bookended scenes are just the things that Jay's seen earlier being thrown up by his subconscious, either in some sort of fever dream from the septicemia, from the cut on his hand, maybe from the drugs that he's taking. And again, with that, I think that's a reading that you can support by things like the slightly disjointed cutting of the scenes, where occasionally you'll have things out of order. You have the sound from the previous scene overlapping the other one, as though the reality of it isn't quite there. So I kind of expect this one to be divisive, maybe not as divisive as if we'd done, say, A Field in England, and it'll depend on how interested people are by the sort of symbolism of it and where they stand on that pretentious good divide. I think for me the film works, not entirely. I think the bit with the doctor is kind of almost a throwaway that doesn't really go anywhere, but it's so layered and dense and obdurate in its refusal to explain anything to the viewer that I quite like it. Just sort of the fact that you can get something from it on every viewing, that you can think you know where it's going, what it's trying to say, and then change your mind completely if you watch it in a different mood. It's much more interesting than a standard sort of tale of this type would be. So a rose tinted for me, not expecting that to be the majority this week, but a great choice. And Reanimator next, I guess. Mystery Monocle for me. Looking forward to it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, John. That was good. I like that. So it could be a fever dream from the septicemia. That's an interesting from the cut. The cut's the whole thing. It's just gets the cut, does the murders, and then kind of next thing you know, he's lying in bed being told to wake up by his kid, but he's actually fucking off his head.
There is another way you can
drugged out of his brain. Go on.
Maybe he's the blade itself is drugged, and maybe the cut on the hand is a metaphor for his soul, because it starts off nice and clean, but by the time they unwrap it, it's just
corrupt.
It's corrupted. It's infected. It's it's not good.
No, it's not good. Understatement of the year. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad John brought up the theory I had, which was the sort of like, how long has this all been going? He's inexorably being driven towards it, and everyone's involved in it. I like that. That's the reading.
And the corridors, that's interesting as well.
Yeah, the symbolism with the corridors, and I didn't really twig the whole mirroring with the cat.
No, nor did I. No,
the cat and the was it not only the cat, the rabbit,
hanging,
the rabbit, the whole thing is almost like back to front. So one part is imaginary, and the next part it's kind of interesting, because then all of a sudden you start thinking, that John's right. The more you watch it, the more you'll get out of it. But then again, as a few people have already mentioned, it's not a film you'd watch in a hurry or put on just to brighten up a rainy day.
Yeah.
No. I've just read something online. I just want to see what you think about it. Could the sun actually be Gau's?
That's okay. That's possible, but to what purpose? What's the?
Well, then that means that Jay he ended up putting Gao out of his misery, didn't he?
Yes.
And so he's removed that whole family.
Oh, what, like ended a bloodline sort of thing?
Maybe, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, well, as John's just explained by his feedback, and we've discussed for the last hour. I mean, this everyone's interpretation is as valid as anyone else's at this point, I think.
Well, you could have Jay being singled out, before Kiev. It's come, maybe just before Kiev, but they've known this family for a long, long time. I'm grasping at straws here, but they've known him for a long, long time. The son is a bastard son from Gao and Shell, which has to be removed. And so, because she's fucked him over and he's fucked his best mate over, then they both have to be removed.
Well, I suppose there's an argument for that, because there's also the whole thing of Gao always talking to Shell first about every decision that went on. So, yeah. And then, of course, there's the whole thing of, like, how long have I been working for you guys? Okay. The thought plickens.
Does my tongue look begin this?
Yeah, the thought plickens. And Jim, did you appreciate the dream interpretation as John was kind of hoping? Or did you want to just go crazy?
No, I mean, it's one of those, I'm very kind of... I think it's bad storytelling. It's all a dream. That's always unsatisfying. It is interesting that you can see, if you read it as a dream, there's a foreshadowing of everything that happens, earlier on, and that is kind of what inspires the dream, all these little incidents and little details. I mean, that's interesting, but I think ultimately for the actual narrative, it doesn't actually go anywhere.
It does kind of, like all
there's no return to reality to tell you it was all a dream, or any point to it all being a dream anyway. If you see what I mean, it just it doesn't sort of stack up in a narratively satisfying way.
No.
Ultimately, for me to think it actually holds water.
The problem with dream sequences they're ultimately unsatisfying if it turns out that everything you've watched for the last hour and a half is utterly pointless. Yeah. But unless because you're watching Inception, which the whole thing's a dream, and it's like, oh, that's the whole point. or what's that Dennis Quaid film with Dreamscape, which I love.
I like Dreamscape. Yes,
cheesy 80s high concept bollocks, but it's fun, and it's got a Snake Man in it.
Good old Snake Man.
Snake Man, yeah.
Maybe. Doesn't get much work these days, Snake Man.
No, he's been out of work for a while, old Snake Man. Yeah, he sheds his skin for copper coins on the underground. Anyway, euphemism. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, gets his hood out. Okay, changing the subject entirely. Let's say draw a veil over all of that, and thank you, John, for that feedback. And yeah, it's a mystery monocle for next week, the next time, eh? So looking forward to your feedback on that one, because it's crazy bonkers. But anyway, let's move on to our last piece of feedback, which is the MP3 from our man in Canada, Mr. Herc. So let's hear what Mr. Herc has to say about Kill List.
Hello, Lee, Jim, Darren, and Elton. So, Kill List. Well, I agree with Jim. It's definitely a movie in 3 acts. So, I'll go through each of them and see if I can sum up how I feel about the whole thing. So, Act 1 I like, even though the dinner party is boring, but fair enough. That's the groundwork that you have to lay to, lull people into a false sense of security and make Jay and Gal feel realistic. But it did do its job, and for a British person, those are ridiculously recognizable characters. So first act is kind of Tarantino-y, I felt, and I did rather like the the weirdly mundane / mundanely weird sequence in the hotel. So Act 2 is their actual kill list, which I thought was compelling, and I was really fascinated by how all the people on the list seemed grateful, and the tone of it reminded me of just like the weird, huge amount of dread I felt watching Dead Man's Shoes. But I don't think that intrigue would hold up on a rewatch. Okay, Act 3. Yeah. So, right, this whole thing was an elaborate initiation for Jay, unbeknownst to him, right? I have been thinking about it and trying to make sense out of things, but it feels like there isn't enough there for me to do that, even though leaving it open to interpretation seemed like a deliberate choice, but, to what end? I'm not sure what the point was. If this is meant to be watched once, and to just, string you along and keep you interested, then absolutely good fucking job, because, anytime something made sense, then it would just make half as much sense 5 minutes later, and, I felt like I needed to know how it would end. It was kind of like one of those games where people sit around and you write like a paragraph on a page, and then you fold it over and pass it to the next person, but it got a rewrite, so it kind of looked like it almost made sense, but I don't think I'd rewatch it. Although I may do if your discussions and the listener feedback show that there's more to the film than meets the eye. As it stands, it's a neat parlor trick with a lot of enjoyable misdirection, but I'm not as inclined to return to this as, say, The Game with Michael Douglas. But it wasn't a bad film. I don't regret watching it. It's just a watch it once and appreciate what there is to appreciate kind of thing. P.S. What the... PPS? What? PPPS? What? Love and hugs.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Herc. Yes. What? Actually, that's probably going to be the bloody title. What? Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe you'll hear something on this cast that's convinced you to maybe have another look at it, take another bash at it. Maybe not. We'll never know. Let us know if you do watch it again. And, yeah, thank you very much for that, Herc. Right. Well, that's it. Time to wrap it up with 15 minutes to 1 in the morning. Time to wrap it all up. Thank you, everyone, for sending in your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Before we go, a few parish notices. We're going to be off next week, which is the 28th of October, when we would normally be recording, because I'm in Paris. And then we're off again on the 4th of November, which is when we would normally record, but Darren's off tromping around the Lake District.
Yeah.
So we won't actually record our 4th week of horror until 8 weeks later.
To week 6.
Till week 6. Till week 7, actually, which is the 11th of November. So on the 11th of November, we will return. And we will return with Jim's choice for the 4 weeks of horror. And what is it, Jim?
It is Stuart Gordon's Reanimator.
Fan-bloody-tastic. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of this?
Yes, well, when I came to make my selection, I thought it'd be a nice idea if we... there was actually a secret pattern to our choices. So we've had 4 films from 4 different genres.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a slasher. Mm-hmm. We've had a ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a evil cult mindfuck movie.
Yep.
And I thought we needed some zombie mad science action.
Nice.
We've also had a different film from every different decade.
Yes.
Had The Scream from the 90s.
Mm.
We had Lake Mungo from the noughties, and we had Kill List from the new teenies, or whatever the hell we're calling this current decade we're in.
New teenies. Nutini.
I like Nutini.
Yeah, I like
reasons.
that. Yay.
So I thought we need one from the 80s to complete the run.
Nice.
And so Mad Science, Zombies, 80s. Well, we had to do Reanimator.
Yeah.
It's a loose adaptation of an H.P. Lovecraft tale. Mm-hmm. It's not one of his classic Cthulhu Mythos tales. It's a more pulpy tale he wrote for a small press magazine who kept demanding he make it more gory, to which he obliged. It's probably one of the pulpier tales he wrote. Stuart Gordon he didn't do it in the period setting. He moved the story to the 80s. He tinkered with it and made this a film that kind of, well, we'll get into next week how faithful and how much a reference it has for Lovecraft. But it's wild. It's over the top. It's very, very gory.
Yes.
And it's very, very silly as well. But, it's it's one of those films that just gleefully goes over the top. And it's just tremendous sort of splatstick fun, really.
Yeah.
It's not as kind of weighted as comedy as Evil Dead 2, but it's kind of, it's on a par with kind of films like Evil Dead 2, like Bad Taste, of those kind of just, going absolutely berserk with buckets of bloods and handfuls of entrails being thrown everywhere.
Yeah.
And getting madder and madder as it goes along.
Yeah. This film is sponsored by Jerry's Corn Syrup. Jerry's Corn Syrup, when you just have run out of enough theatrical blood. Yes, I love this film. Last time I watched it, I just laughed my ass off all the way through it, and also sat there going, "Ugh, that's pretty fucking grim." So I'm really looking forward to watching this again, I have to say. Have you seen this now?
Never.
Never? Right.
Never.
Okay, so this is another one for you.
Although I've seen Jeffrey Combs doing his thing in other roles, and they all seem to be the same.
Well, yeah, this is kind of the origin of the species for the Jeffrey Combs mad scientist.
I think
role.
I know where this is going.
I don't think you do. I'll be honest with you, but it'll be quite funny. Elton, have you seen this?
It rings a bell, but I don't remember seeing it, so I'm going to say no.
Well, okay, this is going to be fun. Right, well, like I say, we will return on November the 11th. And if you would like to send in feedback for Reanimator in time for the November 11th, then please send it in to blackdog@geekplanetonline.com and or leave us some feedback on Facebook, which is the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/the Blackdog Podcast. And Jim, got any?
Yes.
Go on, do your plugging, mate. Do your pluggage.
Oh, right. Well, you got a plethora of podcasts from me. First off, you can hear the second part of the epic trial that me and Mr. Elton took part on of the People versus Michael Bay, as I'm thinking of it. The second part of Witness Defense, putting the Michael Bay Formers movies on trial. That's just out. I have a new edition of Microgoria out, in which I looked through an old kid's book about ghosts. I should have come out in the next week a rather long cast on the origins of Halloween and why everything you think you know about it is probably actually wrong, as it turns out. And out in the next couple of days will be the first episode of the aforementioned Tomagoria, the latest addition to my little family of podcasts, which me and Odile Thomas talk books.
Nice. And you can hear me and Jim on Are You Telling Me Porkies every week as well, out on Sunday.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Sorry. Elton, have you got anything to plug before we move on?
I'm on the latest episode of Are You Telling Me Porkies, which was out this week.
Yes.
Think.
Yes.
Yeah, apart from that, nothing.
Clown Pocket. That's all I'm saying. Clown Pocket.
That's like The Grudge then.
Yeah, that was.
I think your knees need oiling.
Oh, you've never seen The Grudge?
Yeah, I've seen The Grudge, yeah.
All right. That was a very good impression, I thought. Anyway. Don't worry. Right, that's it. I think we've hit the end. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Elton. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you on the 11th of November for Reanimator. Until then, take care. Have a nice Halloween. Have a nice fireworks night. And anyone who's going to the Ghostbusters thing on the 30th of October, we'll see you there. Until then, take care. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.